In high school, our protagonist, he dated a nerdy and shy classmate and was almost invisible to most people. One day, without explanations, she simply disappeared from his life and the two never met again. But now, years later, she ended up returning, except she was no longer the same girl as before. That reserved nerd had turned into someone completely different. The story begins with our protagonist Taisu. He was the college student who had a part-time job, and the guy was quite popular among the girls, since he practiced a kind of service. Don't get the wrong idea, folks. His service was attending classes, and he charged around 100,000 wons to do assignments. They asked if there was any discount, and he said no. Each attendance in the classroom cost 10,000, but he didn't take exams because it was illegal. And since there were referrals from a friend of his, he could even give a kind of little discount, and the girls say goodbye to him after closing the deal. Some classmates show up asking if he was working with attending classes, and he says yes. He even goes right away showing his flyer with the prices. The crowd keeps complaining, saying it was too expensive, and already in the classroom we see that our protagonist was taking a little nap. The guy had to work a lot because college life was not easy, and as soon as class ends, our big guy simply disappears. His friends even laugh, imagining that he was dating a girl, but that was impossible. That's because our dear Taisu only thought about work to be able to pay all his bills. Rents were usually very expensive, and he even did some side jobs giving classes at a cram school, but at night he rushed back home. All this so he could have some fun before going to sleep. He sits in front of the computer and starts checking all his bills. If he played for a few hours, he could get 4 hours of sleep, and that's exactly what he does. And when he enters the game, we see that he was very powerful. People are surprised because even though he didn't spend any money, our hero had several awesome items, but someone ends up showing up to mess with him. The character named Fallen Power Rangel starts messing, saying that he couldn't farm in that area, and right after starts trading insults, and it seems that this character was very angry and starts going hard. And because of that, Taisu says he is going to file a report at the police station. But at night, he needs to show up at the place, and the girl keeps justifying, saying that she only responded to provocations. It seems that Taisu didn't know that the player in question was a girl, and when the employee at the station calls him by Taisu, the girl seems to recognize him. This was Mia, his ex-girlfriend. The big guy keeps looking at her, and they get confused. Until then, she ends up recognizing him, laughing and pointing her finger at Taisu. She keeps saying that he changed a little, except our big guy, he didn't really know who this Mia was. And laughing, she said that he used to be very clueless. Hugging the big guy, she tells the policeman that this was her ex-boyfriend. Mia, she was really the ex-girlfriend of our guy back in high school. She was that kind of nerdy and invisible girl who didn't stand out. She sat in the corner of the room and read books all day. And we see that our big guy was bold and scheduled a meeting with her at the library. And waving to the girl, he said that he hopes to see her in that place. She keeps looking a little serious and soon after gives a little laugh. It seemed that Taisu's memories had been erased, especially because the girl simply disappeared from his life. She vanished without leaving a trace, and the last day he had seen the girl, she promised she would return the next morning. He watches Mia leave, and it was happening exactly like it did 5 years ago. The girl was mad because she received a fine for cursing him in the game. And while looking at the beautiful face of his ex-girlfriend, he wonders if he should question her about why she disappeared. But this one didn't even seem to be the same Mia he knew. It was strange for someone to change that much in such a short time, but thinking about it, 5 years is actually a reasonable time. And he even remembers other schoolmates who also changed drastically. If you know someone who changed like that, comment here for us. The high school Mia was a short nerd, but the Mia of today is much taller and cooler. The strange thing is that it seemed like she didn't want to talk to him and even kept making an angry face. Looking back, when turning around, Mia asks why he was following her. And with an angry face, she asks if by chance he was regretting his actions for fining her 100 wands. The girl even has the nerve to say that she had only greeted him and said she was Mia to see if he would remove that fine. This applies to you who keeps cursing your buddy in the online game. If you lived in Korea, you would probably be fined too. The girl is even saying that he was petty for making her pay that fine, that he didn't want to remove the amount. In response, he defends himself, saying that he was just going home and didn't care about her. And in a somewhat arrogant tone, she apologizes for cursing him in the game and asks him to remove that fine. And she even says that he was a lucky guy for being able to farm in that area of hers inside the game. The guy says that he is not going to remove the amount of the fine and that he was nice for giving a discount, since it was supposed to be a much higher amount, and of course she keeps a sulky face. From 100,000 he had lowered it to 10,000, and still she was asking for more discounts. In response, he said that if she kept nagging too much, he was going to raise it back to 100 again. Now with a look, she said that he hadn't changed at all and was still stingy. At that moment, he ends up calling her by her name and asks how she has been all this time. This ends up surprising the girl, and he asks why she made that face. And in response, she says it's because he looks very different. Since he didn't usually care about people, she ended up being startled. And without giving much importance to his question, the girl says she is not going to talk because nothing interesting happened. Besides that, we are not going to see each other again from now on. So we don't even need to have curiosity about each other. Our big guy just keeps watching her say those words, and she says for him to forget she exists and never think of her name again. After saying goodbye, she makes a gesture, and those were the last words of his ex-girlfriend 5 years after they had met again. He even asks if that's all she has to say after simply disappearing from his life. In fact, our big guy didn't even need money that much. He only did this so he could have more contact with her. It was like he wanted to keep the girl close, but since she asked him not to look for her, he would respect it. If you made it to this part of the video, I have a quick announcement. YouTube is not recommending our videos much, guys, besides the videos that it is demonetizing, so I'm counting on your support. Leave a like and a comment, and also hype up your comments help YouTube a lot to recommend our video to more people. If you don't know what to comment, just comment part 2. That way I'll know you like this work, and I'll try to bring the continuation. Sorry for interrupting, so let's get back to the story. A month had passed and we see that they ended up meeting again, and this time it was at the university. There was a sign written "Welcome Freshman," and she had just joined this university. He even asked if it was really her, because she looked a little different, and all embarrassed she keeps wondering why he was studying. Then the scene changes to an early morning, with a truck arriving near his apartment. Taisu, he keeps asking who was moving in. This area of the city had some pretty cheap rents, but the houses weren't that good, except the most advantageous point was that the apartments were very close to the university. That's why most of the people who lived in those small apartments were students. He didn't imagine he would meet Mia again at his college. He even asked if she had started studying there, and making a scared face she asks if by any chance he was a stalker. Hitting the phone on her head, he keeps saying that she was the one following him, especially since our big guy was already a senior, and the two entered the media and communication faculty. And to make things worse, they also got the same part-time job. A little angry, she says that's none of his business and that she had told our big guy about a month ago that they should pretend not to know each other. And before saying goodbye, she again tells him to mind his own life because that would be better for both. But it seems our big guy was a little upset with that, and even says it doesn't make any sense, those words of hers. Worst of all, he hadn't done anything wrong for her to be so annoyed like that, and although he liked her a lot in high school, he managed to forget her. And back to the present, when he was looking at that truck, he even thinks another bad news is coming. Wait a minute, I don't think so, it can't be. That would be too much of a coincidence. Someone knocks at his door, and when he opens, it was a girl bringing a pie. She came to ask for a welcome, saying she just moved to the apartment next door. And at that moment, the two are face to face. She simply throws the pie in his face and asked if by chance he was a stalker, since he wouldn't leave her alone. Wiping his face, he says that this is his house, and that in fact it is she who is stalking him. Look there, like I would stalk someone like you. Ah, I'm so stupid. Why did I sign the contract? I should have at least seen who the neighbors were. But anyway, let's not bother each other, Mr. Neighbor. Let's pretend we don't exist for each other. The big guy just keeps staring at her, and when she turned around he says, "Yes, ma'am." For having called the girl ma'am, she gets furious and already grabs the extinguisher, wanting to hit him. And the guy says that she was the one who called him sir first. This crazy one was his ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago, but when he remembers the girl at that time, the difference becomes even more evident. The first time he saw Mia, she was reading in the library, and he fell completely in love. As time went by, they started reading together in the library, and back to the present, he asks himself why she changed so much. They were a loving couple, but now she is a girl who wants to kill him. And when he remembers her asking never to talk again, he gets sad, and the worst of all is that he did nothing. It was her who was wrong for disappearing out of nowhere without leaving a message. He ended up hearing a noise on his intercom. He goes to the place and asks who it was, and in the image he sees that it was exactly Mia, and she was all wet. When opening the door, he asks if by chance she had made a mistake, since they agreed not to talk to each other anymore. However, she was all soaked and had water running down the whole hallway. He decides to help Mia and goes to her apartment, closes the valve. One of the water pipes in her apartment ended up bursting, and he even thinks that it hasn't been a single day since she's living in this place, and she's already destroying everything. The girl was trying to call the owner of the apartment so he could fix it, and seeing her wet like that, he remembered the girl from 5 years ago. She notices that the guy was staring at her and holding a mop clumsily. She asks why he was staring at her, and he said he wasn't looking. The girl looked down and realized she was all wet and already began to think his nonsense, making our hero very embarrassed. In fact, he was only worried about her. Hearing these words, Mia blushes, and since she was soaked, he already pulls her by the hoodie, saying that she needed to dry off. Hitting the mop on our hero, she keeps saying that he should not drag her, and besides she would not like his help because she does not like to owe anyone. Therefore, he should go inside his house and never talk to her again. But since the water valve was closed, the boiler was also not working to heat the apartment. But the girl keeps making an excuse, saying that she really likes cold. Okay, Mia, I will charge 1,000 wands per hour. What? What are you talking about? I will charge 1,000 for you to warm up in my room, so you won't owe me anything. And I think it's a fair price, right? The two get very embarrassed since they would be together in the same apartment. He even says that if by chance she doesn't want to, it's okay. However, she had one more condition, and the condition was precisely to take a warm bath. And there was the girl in Taisu's apartment taking a bath, making him embarrassed. It was only for her to dry off and stay warm in the room and not spend the whole night there taking a bath. But since she had offered 3,000 wands, he ended up accepting. That's because our protagonist is a capitalist, folks. The guy likes money. While waiting for the girl, he thinks, why is she acting this way? After 5 years without seeing Mia, he had already forgotten his feelings, but now it seems that everything is coming back again. It's as if something really important was close to him. Yeah, my boy, that's passion. To make his situation worse, his colleagues end up showing up. They heard that there was a flood in Taisu's apartment, that's why they came. And the guys are such jerks that they came to celebrate and even brought drinks. And right after they keep acting, saying that they are feeling sad for him because the damage will be big. The guys had no idea that it wasn't in his apartment, but in the apartment next door. However, they came at a terrible time because our dear Mia was leaving the bathroom. If by chance they found out that there was a girl in his room, they would keep bothering our hero. Therefore, he ended up offering to go out to drink. Also because his house was a mess and he didn't want them to stay there in the middle of the dirt. For having offered to pay for the drinks. His friends got all excited and even said that the big guy must be about to die because he was very stingy and never paid anything for anyone. And they even joked saying that free drinks taste much better. But all this was just an excuse, only so his friends wouldn't see Mia. And to Taisu's bad luck, the girl ends up opening the door at that moment, bumping into him and even feeling a little awkward asking who those guys were. Shouting very loudly, they ask, why was there a girl coming out of his bathroom? And they even hit the big guy, asking why he didn't say there was a girl in his house. He had only a few seconds to think of an excuse, so he quickly hugged his ex-girlfriend and said that she was actually his younger sister. Not even she was expecting that, folks. And the guys keep saying that's a lie because he is very ugly and would never have such a cute sister. Hey Mia, keep quiet. So things wouldn't get complicated, you just pretend to be my sister, okay? And making a cute face, she said that yes, she was Taisu's younger sister. But another friend of our hero ends up arriving and punches the wall and even asks if she is really his sister. The girl's punch was so strong that it even broke the wall. She had known Taisu for over 10 years and knew that he had no sister at all. The girl's expression changes quickly and now she was happy asking who this girl was. This was Rayon, 21 years old, and she was in love with Taisu for more than 10 years. The next morning they go to the university and our hero ends up explaining to his friend who that girl was. But of course he was embarrassed because he had to invent that excuse that they were siblings. The redhead said that this sibling story was nonsense and that no one would believe it. Since he was very close to the redhead, people thought they were dating. She really wanted that. The poor girl was in the friend zone. Her punch was so strong that they even put up a little sign saying that they would be renovating the apartment. The building manager showed up at Mia's apartment to fix the plumbing and she had to spend the night with a lot of blankets so she wouldn't freeze from the cold. The redhead, she had known our guy for a long time so she believed this little story of his, but she wasn't really believing that Mia, Taisu's ex-girlfriend, had ended up with that appearance. And by seeing him with that expression, the girl said that he must be in love with Mia again since she knows him very well. Rayon, she was very strong since she came from a family of fighters. She was so strong that she even hid her 3 older brothers. And since she was so tiny, she ended up getting the nickname Crazy Chihuahua. Nasai was telling her that he didn't like Mia at all, but it seems she didn't believe that girl really was Taisu's ex-girlfriend, especially because she had grown much taller and now had an adult appearance. And she mentioned that when she looked at her, she really felt there was a familiar look, and even asked if he had discovered why the girl had simply disappeared out of nowhere. At that moment, another girl ended up showing up, making the redhead get startled. This was Song Ryo, and she seemed to be giving a good morning to the guy. Song Ryo, she was 24 years old and she was the president of the student council. Very attentive, she asked Taisu why he had such a serious face, but he said he didn't have a serious face at all. On the contrary, he was willing to do everything she ordered. She could give him any task to do because his salary was up to date, so he was there to work. The little redhead, she got jealous because she knew that the boy she liked, in fact, liked the department leader. And there goes our hero, all the simp, doing the things his boss asked. And he starts carrying the boxes from one side to another as she ordered. Currently, he liked this girl, she was the love of his life. But of course that was a secret, because if his friends found out, they would mock him. With friends like that, who needs enemies? He couldn't even talk to a girl without them making fun. Imagine if they found out he was in love. Besides, those friends of his were real womanizers and kept telling Taisu that many pretty freshmen had joined. And we see that way in the back was our dear Mia. However, that Mia he brought yesterday, who lived next to his apartment, was the prettiest of them all. That's right, guys, because Mia goes to university with that nerdy look, so people don't know she's that gorgeous, stylish girl. However, Taisu ends up ignoring his friends and the redhead pulls them back. She looked at those two as if they were bad company, so she got mad, saying they had to work. And off they go with a dumb look to do the tasks. After finishing, Song Ryo congratulates everyone. Since our hero and the redhead were part of the student council, they had to meet her at 7 o'clock, everyone there in room 8. When they were already going to the indicated place, someone ended up calling his name. It was Song Ryo again, thanking him for helping carry the boxes and even mentioning that she couldn't wait to drink with him at the camp on the weekend. Our hero, he looked like a silly puppet and didn't even know how to react. Later, he goes back to the apartment. Since Mia had returned to his life, he admitted that he ended up getting a little stressed, but now he liked Reo and couldn't lose focus. At that moment, Mia ends up arriving with him carrying some groceries. The guy, he keeps looking at that much food and ended up catching the girl's attention, saying that if she eats that much, she'll end up getting fat. A little embarrassed, she said she could eat as much as she wanted, that it wasn't his business. Besides, she was going to take some to the camp to share with her new friends. But he said she didn't need to bring food because the president had already collected money to buy snacks. At that moment, she asked if he was also going to the camp, and he said of course, because he also worked at that company. But she kept asking him not to go because he would ruin her weekend. Since he was a senior, he must have gone to other camps, but this would be her first. The guy gets mad and said he'd like to ask a question. What exactly did I do that irritates you so much? Tell me, did I do something wrong? At that moment she froze and revealed that he hadn't done anything wrong. If she was so mad at him, it was for the girl to reveal right away what he had done. At that moment she slapped his hand and said that he was right and that she was the one to blame for everything. However, she asked him to pretend not to know her at the camp, and while he was talking she ended up going into her apartment, leaving him there alone. And she even slammed the door. My god, huh? What a crazy girl. Get out. It's the crazy ones that guys like. Finally, the day of the camp had arrived. Ryu had organized the buses, but there weren't enough seats, so the two of them would have to go in the car with her. Many people confirmed at the last minute, and the seats weren't enough. Of course, guys, it had to fall to the two of them, and so the bus went on its trip. Everyone was talking and having fun, and the redhead kept looking around searching for Taisu. Her friend asked what was going on, and the redhead said it was nothing. However, her friend knew she liked Taisu, and asked if by chance she was looking for her husband. She starts screaming, saying that it's nothing like that. Then her friend reveals that Taisu along with Mia ended up going by car with Song Reo, and even gets thoughtful saying that she doesn't know that new freshman very well. The little redhead, she knew exactly that it was Mia, and started to get worried. They end up getting into the car to go to the camp. The president asks if they were ready, and our hero, he ended up putting on a helmet and holding a pillow. My question, why is he acting like this? Could it be he's an idiot? Actually, he put on that helmet because of safety and he was trembling all over, as if riding in a car was the most dangerous thing in existence. Mia wasn't understanding anything, but when the president started to speed up, she understood. The president drove like there was no tomorrow. After a while, they end up stopping at a station. Mia was feeling sick because of the president's driving. Someone shows up offering a drink, and it was our hero asking what she was doing there sitting on the bench. She said she was feeling sick and that the president drives in a very fast way. Rudely, Mia asks why he brought that can of soda, and he said that actually it was the president who sent it. Refusing that soda, she said she doesn't like coffee-flavored soda, and the guy didn't understand anything and even mentions that she used to like that kind of drink before. Then he remembers 5 years ago when she drank those coffee-flavored sodas and even says it's strange since she used to like it and she said he was confusing things. Well, maybe she liked it back then, but today she doesn't like it anymore. Avoiding eye contact, Mia simply stands up and says she doesn't like remembering those old stories. She felt sorry, but she didn't want to stay stuck in those useless memories of the past. And she says it in a very cold way, guys. And looking back, she asks again if they could simply treat each other as if they were mere strangers. Guys, seriously, at this part of the story I already started to feel really sorry for our hero. And she even says that he knows better than anyone how those times were very hard for her. And when she saw him, her memories ended up coming back. It was an accident that she ended up coming into contact with him again. That's why she asks him to pretend that she doesn't exist, and even bows asking forgiveness for being rude. We don't know what happened, guys, but it already makes us very curious. It was for him to treat her as if she was just a simple colleague. That had been a clear rejection, but it was the most polite rejection he had ever received. The Mia he knew doesn't exist anymore. The guy, he sits on the bench and gets all sad looking up. If she had acted like she didn't know him back then at the police station, he wouldn't even have noticed. The president shows up asking what he was doing. The guy he disguises saying that he was looking at the clouds. She asks if that was very fun and he says not that much. Thinking about it, it made sense for Mia to act that way, especially because mountains change every 10 years, as the sayings went. So it was to be expected that a human being would change every 5 years. The people on the bus end up calling the president worried because she was taking too long. And the guy, he keeps thinking that now he's going to focus on his relationship with her. All cute, she asks why Taisu was staring at her, and the guy, he freezes with blushed cheeks. His heart even started beating faster. He disguises saying that he was admiring how good she was at organizing things, since the camp was located in a very good place. This was their last year before graduation. That's why she wanted this trip to the camp to be unforgettable. Our guy, he had only one goal, which was to confess to the president. Even though Mia came back, he wasn't willing at all to share attention with her. He wanted to focus only on the president. The girl asks where Mia was, and he said that she would be back soon, and there was the girl wearing protective clothing. The president starts laughing, hugging our hero, saying that girl was very funny, and even asks if by any chance her driving was that scary. Putting on a helmet, Taisu said no. She drove. I think that helmet already gives the answer, right? A few minutes later, they finally arrive at the lodge. The girl, she ends up lying down right in the lobby because she was feeling sick. And people comment that Taisu, he is a very cold guy since he didn't feel sick even riding with the president. Someone ends up poking his back and it was a freshman asking if he had a moment. This was Shinobin, a 20-year-old freshman. Her little redhead friend sees that scene and gets jealous. The scene changes to a little later. The president says it's time to close the orientation for this year's freshmen. They would divide all of them into groups of 6 people, and after toasting, everyone starts celebrating. Our hero, he was surrounded by the girls, and Mia asks if she could change groups. That's because she didn't want to stay next to the guy. As expected, Taisu, he was very lucky and was the only man. His friends even kept making faces at him. Right after, they make another toast, and that newbie girl keeps making a cute little face at our hero. He even finds it strange. That girl is so weird, and deep down her friend gets really angry. She even tries to hide it, making some jokes to draw attention away, but since men are too slow to understand hints, Taisu just stood there clueless. Mia started drinking her soda and our hero wouldn't stop looking at her, until the girl asks what he wanted. And the strangest thing of all is that they kept toasting all the time, and our protagonist said that this was going to stop. Trying to respect the girl's request, he was making an effort to treat her in a colder way, but it was useless. He was surrounded by 3 very strange girls. One was flirty, another jealous, and one seemed like she wanted to kill him. This year's camp had way more people than usual, and the reason was simple. There were 3, let's say, popular girls joining the camp. These 3 freshmen, they were influencers and did live streams. One of them had almost 40,000 subscribers. This one with an Addams Family face. She produced podcast content focused on horror themes. And finally, there was Shinobin, who was actually the most famous of them all. She had over 320,000 subscribers, and the other girls kept saying she was really amazing. Trying to be cute, she said she didn't like being praised. Sure enough, Taisu had heard that this year there were some popular girls, and there he was surrounded by girls, while his buddies were dying of jealousy. At that moment, Shorty finds out that our protagonist plays the same game as her, and keeps saying that she has been playing this game since middle school, and even asks which server he played on. Incredibly, they played on the same server, except that our big guy, he wasn't very excited, folks. He even points to Mia saying that she also plays on that same server, but since she didn't want much attention, she keeps pretending that she didn't understand what he was saying. But it didn't work. He had already spread this information, and Shorty keeps saying they could play together someday. She mentions the name of a player who causes a lot of trouble, and our protagonist said that nickname was his. After hearing those words, the girl goes into a trance. She even goes to the bathroom to calm down. She suspected it was Taisu, the very player who caused problems on her server, and starts getting angry, saying she needs to get revenge on him. Her friend said it was already to be expected that it was Taisu who played on that server, since the nickname was basically his name. Even if our protagonist didn't spend money in the game, he had a very powerful character. He was leader of a clan, and our hero kept farming right in her region, and after long days waiting for the boss to show up so they could defeat it, Taisu went there and defeated it alone. That was unforgivable. They lost the chance to grab valuable items. Her friend asks how she's going to take revenge on the big guy, and she said she would seduce him. Never ever, never in her life had anyone refused to go out with her. That's why she was going to make Taisu feel in love, and right after that she would break his little heart. She steps on a soda can saying that he will be all shaken when he gets dumped by her. Her friend keeps saying that this might even be interesting and she will want to watch. When they leave the bathroom, they keep complaining, saying it was cold, especially because inside the lodge there were only 2 bathrooms, so they had to use the one outside. But unexpectedly she ends up bumping into something, and when she looks up it was 3 huge guys. They kept saying she was really cute, and of course she got scared to death. That friend with a corpse-like face runs off and starts calling for the president, saying her friend needs help. Shinobin, she was surrounded by men, and when they get there they realize the girl was in trouble, especially because all of them had gathered to ask for autographs, since they knew her because of the live streams. All that fuss ended up breaking apart and they got embarrassed. Right after, other boys showed up saying that there was a very famous streamer outside the lodge, and they all started gathering to take pictures. When our hero was already leaving, he ends up being pulled by the shirt, and it was Mia asking him to wait for a bit. She said there was a serious problem in the girls' dorm, and he ends up following her. When he arrives there, she said he had to pay attention. My God, what does this girl want this time? She points to a power outlet under the bed. She said that it was a camera, but she said it with a text message on her phone so that the recordings wouldn't catch her exposing this matter. Hidden cameras in rooms were very serious issues, and he even had to hold his mouth to avoid saying anything. Outside, he asked how she found out, especially because it was a very well-disguised camera, and you would need to be an expert to discover that thing. In response, Mia said she had seen something similar before, but that didn't matter. They needed to solve that. It seems she got a little nervous when he asked how she knew, and trying to shift the focus, he questions how they are going to solve it. She says the most important thing of all is to figure out why that camera was placed there. And when she says that, our hero remembers her very well in the past. She was a very lively girl, but also very shy. He was asking why she always came to the library to read. She says she likes reading books because they are basically someone else's ideas, but she always kept wondering why all of that. Back to the present, she was saying that she would like to know why the person put that camera there. Although her appearance had changed drastically, she still said the same words. With blushing cheeks, she asks why he was looking at her like that, and in response he said it's because she was speaking in a kind of strange way, and he ends up saying that she asked them to act like strangers, but now she was there asking for his help. She turns all embarrassed, saying that if he doesn't want to help, he doesn't need to. I don't know guys, but I think this girl still likes him. Extending her hands, she said that everything was fine and that from now on she would go back to talking to him in a more informal way, especially because she needed his help. I bet that at that moment the boy's heart almost jumped out of his mouth. She even says that he is very clever at managing to convince people like he did in the past. She knew she was strange. She asked for this favor even though she had said they shouldn't talk. Only she had no one else she could trust. He asks if she is still going to pretend that they are strangers, and she says no, and they end up greeting each other. At that moment, the Mia he knew in the past was exactly the same Mia in the present. While she crouched to pick up a soda can, she said she checked all the other rooms and only in hers there was that camera, and imagined that it wasn't any boy who put the camera because the president said that men weren't allowed in. And she even mentions that as soon as they arrived at the lodge, she went straight to the room because she wasn't feeling well, and she remembers not having seen any hidden camera. It was placed later, and as soon as she got to the room the second time, she saw that object and found it strange. So the one who placed that camera could only be one of the 3 girls sharing the room with her, and it was exactly the 3 freshman girls who were streamers, or maybe it could be someone close to them. There were many people at this camp, so it wasn't possible to figure it out right away, but what could be known is that it was someone from their department, and she even imagines that this person is acting in a malicious way. But first of all, they would need to find out why this person is doing this. While drinking the soda, she asked Taisu not to say anything to anyone, because she would like to find everything out first. A little embarrassed, he keeps saying that the president can't be a suspect, because she is very trustworthy. And the girl keeps complaining, feeling a bit jealous, because she realized he likes her, and even asked if he won't declare his feelings to the president. He plays dumb, saying that he doesn't know what she's trying to say. While they were talking about whether he would confess or not, the redhead shows up. She was crazier than Batman and asks what the 2 of them were doing hiding. Our big guy says that her friend also can't be a suspect, because she is very sweet. She had gotten drunk, guys, and wasn't doing very well. Mia feels a bit embarrassed because the last time they saw each other, the situation wasn't very good. She asks what Mia really wants to do, because she always shows up with her friend, and it even seemed like they got back together. What she was feeling, folks, was jealousy. Only our protagonist didn't understand because he didn't know that she liked him. At that moment, the girl starts crying, saying that Mia was a liar. She had said that she didn't like Taisu, but she was always clinging to him, and calling Mia mean, she starts crying on the floor. Later, our hero ended up taking the girl to her room, and before saying goodbye, the girl asked Taisu not to tell anyone about the camera. So finally, we reached the next morning. There was a big fight going on in the kitchen, and they were saying they found the suspect. The Chanel girl keeps pointing at Mia, saying that she saw her. It was this girl who was secretly spying on her room and pointing her finger in Mia's face. Kept saying it was her who installed a spy camera. The president shows up telling everyone to calm down, not to make threats, and even asks, "What is this story about a camera?" The redhead takes advantage of the situation and quickly clings to Taisu and even asks him if he knows anything about spying, but keeps saying that Mia would never do something like that. Touching her friend's shoulder, she says for her not to worry because Mia didn't do this. This is quite unexpected. I never thought she would attack me like this directly. Omi was accusing Mia of spying, and she was one of the 3 girls sharing the room with her. Yesterday at the party, this girl was being quite nice, but now she was there accusing Mia in front of everyone. And of course that ended up making her angry. Last night they were deciding what they would do when they found a culprit. He even suggested that it would be good to interrogate those girls to know why. It wouldn't be that simple, but the goal was to make the girls reveal themselves. Upon hearing those words, Mia keeps asking, "What do you mean, huh?" It would be enough to take a device and hide it to make the girl try to look for it. And she even asks if by any chance Mia knows the time of day when people are more careless. And the answer was early in the morning when they had just woken up. That's because when you sleep you end up letting your guard down, and that was the right time for her to go there and hide the camera. With that, the person who placed that object would have to reveal herself to try to get the object back. And pointing her finger at Mia now in the present, she keeps saying that she saw the girl messing with something in her backpack. Besides, other people also saw her messing with the camera and even asked her friends trying to confirm their answer. But the girls seem like they don't know what's going on. While they were sleeping, or rather pretending to sleep, our big girl Mia was there messing with her backpack. The short girl kept mentioning that she never imagined that it was a spy camera. Realizing that the situation was getting critical, Taisu wonders if he should protect Mia, and at that moment the girl starts laughing and said that what she was messing with was her toothbrush, not a spy camera. and with a little laugh making a joke, she asked if the girl thinks that this toothbrush looks like a camera. Of course, this makes her very tense, and she even starts to stutter, saying that she also heard her saying some strange words on the phone, and she accuses Mia of saying that she was talking to someone on the phone saying that she had recorded videos of new and famous girls. But of course that was a lie, guys. She was already making it up, but it made Mia very nervous and asked if she would like to check. She hands her cell phone to the girl saying that she could search the calls, and if by chance she recorded anything, she could go into her gallery and check everything. And she also invited the people who were around to check her cell phone. That made the little one there very angry. It was as if she was trapped in a mess, and with a serious look she asked if the girl still doubted her. It seems that the spell had turned against the sorcerer, and to put even more pressure on the girl, she takes out all the items that were inside her backpack. Her belongings spread all over the floor, and making a crazy face, she asks if now the girl is satisfied. That was all she had with her, and she didn't have any spy camera. The students started commenting that this newbie was a liar. At that moment, Taisu realized that she had gotten herself into trouble. Honestly, he had thought that it would be more difficult to find that girl, but since there were only 3 left, who were the roommates, it became easier. Taisu even comments that she risked too much by placing that item. Hidden cameras in rooms could be used for evil things. So their strategy was simply to hide this camera to make that girl there have to look for it. And since he had hidden the camera, he never wanted to find that camera along with Mia. His original plan was simply to wait for the person to give themselves away, as exactly happened. But he didn't imagine that the person would do that in the middle of other people. Mia had been very angry because she was accused in front of everyone and the girl didn't even know what to say. But the girl pointed her finger and said that there were other places that they hadn't checked yet, and asked the people to check her body. She could very well have hidden that camera. Are you serious that you want us to get to this level? Fine, then let's prove this once and for all. She starts by taking off her glasses and said that if it's proven that she doesn't have the camera, the girl will have to beg for forgiveness, and said that she's giving her one more chance to apologize right away so she doesn't have to go through more embarrassment. And so, do you really want to search my whole body? Our big guy yells, saying that they don't need to get to that level. But he was thinking that a fight would start. But that wasn't it, guys. Mia simply started taking off her coat and threw all her clothes on the floor. Now that she was only wearing a sports top, she asked the girl where she could hide that camera. Did I hide it in my hair? And after taking off the ribbon, her hair falls loose. If you don't believe me, do you want me to take off all my clothes? The psychological pressure was very big and the girl started crying. And in a wicked way, Mia asks if by any chance she will feel satisfied if she also takes off her pants. Our hero yells for her to stop and ends up putting the clothes back on her. That makes her a little confused. And with blushed cheeks he says that she went too far. She also felt embarrassed. And in the end the girl was trembling all over, apologizing. The people who were there commented that this scene was very shameful. Trying to calm things down, the president says to let this story go and tells everyone else to leave since the fight was already over. But he didn't expect Mia to have such a personality. She calls for the president and holding that girl's arm, asks if she could talk to her outside. After all, ending the discussion that way would be a little embarrassing, and she even guarantees that they won't fight. The president allows it, but tells Taisu to go there to accompany them. Already sitting on the bench, Mia says she would like to know her side of the story. She wanted to know why she had placed that camera in the room. Our hero had that camera and said that he didn't want things to get to that level. The girl asks why Taisu is holding the camera since she was sure it was Mia who took it. Ah, this doesn't matter. Even the little redhead shows up there pulling the girl's cheeks and says that she had been keeping that camera all this time. That was nothing more than a trap, all to make her fall right in. They handed that camera to the redhead and said it was for Rayon to hide it. Our hero even admits that this plan worked very well, and as soon as she saw that the camera was no longer in place, she immediately assumed it was Mia. Basically, they forced the girl to give herself away. Besides, when the 3 girls left the room, it was only her and the short girl who kept looking at that outlet. Another thing that helped them be sure it was her was the memory card. In there saved the recording of when she placed the camera and also saw the images of some travel bags. And it seemed that this camera was always pointed at the bags. Crying a lot, she says that she will tell the whole truth. She said that recently in her travels, people have been messing with her bags and stealing her belongings. That's why she decided to put a spy camera right next to her suitcases. The girl's goal was not to spy on anyone, but to find out who was messing with her things. That's why she bought this spy camera. She never imagined it would cause such chaos and even keeps apologizing, saying that she didn't want to cause any trouble for Mia. Our hero wonders how Mia figured out that device was a hidden camera, and even thinks that she must have gone through some very heavy things. In a serious tone, she said she believes the girl and she didn't need to keep crying. People give a strange look and she asks why everyone is like that. They never imagined Mia would forgive the girl so easily, and she stays there crying, feeling guilty, saying that she embarrassed Mia in front of everyone. At that moment, Mia realized that she was the one coming off badly in the story, and even told everyone that she just wanted to find out why she had installed the cameras, and it wasn't for them to keep judging her since the girl was crying. After all, she didn't want the atmosphere there in the department to get bad. She even believed in that story about the suitcases, but if by chance she is lying, she will suffer the consequences. The girl keeps crying, saying that this was not a lie, and Ranyan asks Taisu if that is the same Mia she knew, and our hero keeps thinking that not even he was recognizing her. The scene goes back to last night with the girl thanking our hero. She was thanking him for making himself available to help her. Even though she was rude and harsh, he was very kind and decided to help her with this problem, and even admits that she had misinterpreted him. Back to the present, he keeps looking back at Mia. He really imagined that in this camp there would be many problems, but they respected Mia's wish and didn't tell anyone that that girl was the actual culprit. And she ended up making the camera available to them, and our hero kept the memory card. And when they got back to the inn, they told a made-up story to the other girls, and Youngi's friends went there to apologize to Mia, since they helped in that plan. But Mia says that it's alright, it's as if she had gotten a problem off her back. After everyone went inside, our protagonist asked if she was really okay. She said yes and asked why he was saying that. It's because everyone had seen her wearing only a top and that situation was a little embarrassing, and he even comments that the other people were shocked that she had done that in front of everyone. She was embarrassed and said that she is not that type of girl. What? What do you mean that type of girl? She gets extremely embarrassed and said again that she is not the type of girl who takes off her clothes in front of others. She only did that because she was very nervous and leaves stomping her feet on the ground. But they could have solved this problem in another way, and she even says that if by chance that girl still kept accusing her, it was simply to go there and call the police. And then she gives a cute little smile and thanks him for everything. She still says that she will just graduate and move to another city. She doesn't want to keep having problems there in that place because it brought bad memories, and the big guy wonders why she is saying this now. She said that she solved this problem with the camera girl, and also the problem with Taisu, and imagines that there is nothing else left to disturb her peace. Yeah, my girl, I'm sorry to say this, but you are very mistaken. Several people showed up around her, and they were those boys from the track and field club. They were delighted, saying that she was very cute, and even kept saying that she is a woman of attitude, since she had made that whole scene there in the inn hall. Our hero's friends ask if by any chance that Mia was not his sister. She realized that she was without glasses and with her hair down. In other words, she didn't look like a nerd, and that's why she started to gain so much popularity. It may not seem like it, guys, but she is a little shy and got all embarrassed. But in the afternoon they had a lot of fun, and she ended up drinking more than she should and got her face all painted. The scene changes to a little later at night. That girl, she apologizes for having ruined the mood at the camp. And climbing on the table, MC says that now she is going to cheer everyone up to make up for it. The president feels relieved because everything ended very well. Our dear Mia, she wasn't catching the attention only of the boys, but also of the girls. And he realized that she was feeling uncomfortable. Wait a second, I'm caring too much about Mia. I was supposed to stay focused on the president. At that moment, some people asked the president to get more drinks since they had run out. But she wasn't feeling very well since she had already drunk a lot and asks our dear Taisu to go buy it at the little market. He gets a little annoyed because he wanted to spend more time with her, but ended up having to waste time going there to buy drinks. He was going to call his friends, but they were also completely drunk and even his workmates were kind of messed up. He was going to turn to the little redhead, but she too, guys, was even passed out. It seemed like he was the only sober one in that place. Giving a little laugh, he realizes that he will have to go alone. He never imagined that the people would be able to have fun at night after that whole fight in the morning. And when he gets outside, he wonders why Mia was acting weird. It had been 5 years since he last saw his ex-girlfriend, and when she returned, she had completely changed. He never imagined she could act in such a cold and calculating way, and he even imagines that she must have gone through many dangerous things to have changed her personality so drastically. At that moment, he got a huge scare, since the girl was outside looking at the moon and feeling the breeze. He asks what she was doing out there, and the girl gets startled and even runs away, saying that she didn't know he was there. But then he ended up hearing the noise of her falling on the ground. Like a good knight, he goes there to ask if she was okay. And the girl, she was all shy with blushing cheeks. Then she keeps asking him to pretend he didn't see her. He says he wasn't even looking for her. Then she explains that she ended up running away from the girls because they were pestering her. That's why she asked our hero to pretend he hadn't seen her. They comment that the people from the department are showing a lot of interest in her, since she is cool. And although she didn't like all that attention, she comments that those people are very kind. When she arrived at the inn, the girl comments that she was afraid of not making friends, but was surprised because everyone treated her very well. Looking at a beautiful view, our dear Taisu said that it reminded him a lot of an area where they used to go in high school. He never imagined that after those 5 years he would have the chance to talk to her again. Then he remembers the moments he spent with her reading some books. They used to sit on some benches in the square and stay close together. He even remembers one time she cried because of the death of a book character, and even comments that her snot and tears stained his pants. Those memories were alive in his mind, and the girl said that Taisu had also changed. She helps him by going to the little market to buy drinks, and the guy says that he had changed a lot just like her. After all, they were no longer kids. The guy wanted to continue having a friendship with her, since they would keep seeing each other at college, but if she wanted, he could very well ignore her. In a serious way, she said she wanted to keep a certain distance. I don't know, guys. Something very serious must have happened for her to be acting this way. If anyone has a theory, comment it for us. She even apologizes for being harsh and even asks if he remembers what she said when she met him there at college. She had said that each one should follow their own life because that would be better for both. Our big guy, he keeps thinking about those words. She even admits saying that he didn't do anything wrong and the fault was entirely hers. And even if she wanted to continue being complete strangers to each other, it seemed that destiny always brought them together. And that's how it happened in that police station or even at school. No matter how much she wanted to distance herself, destiny always put them close to each other. Then the girl turns all cute and apologizes to Tae-soo. Something that happened 5 years ago was very painful for her, and she didn't want to talk about it. Of course, if he insisted a lot she could tell, but after she graduated she would move away and never see him again. She won't be near him for long and even comments that she can't wait to graduate and move far away. Our big guy, he doesn't say anything, just stays there watching. He knew that if he dug too deep into her past he could end up making things even worse, and not only ruin the relationship between them but also her mental state. It was as if he were reopening old wounds. The guy still felt something for her and kept imagining that if he forced too much contact with the girl, she could simply disappear, just like she did 5 years ago. When he was about to touch Mia's shoulder, the president appears telling him to bring the drinks already. She even jokes saying that the boys are going crazy and Mia already runs off to take the beer. He was very curious to know what happened to her, but he even imagines it might be painful for her to tell. That's why he decides to let it go. After all, today wasn't the only day he would talk to her. He could do that later. And so the weekend at the camp had ended, and when they were going back home, the president ended up breaking the car. He went out to help but ended up tripping. He got very close to her face. Our protagonist was being flirty, guys, and I don't know, it seems that the president also likes him because she got all embarrassed. Inside the car, Mia gives a cough and yells for them to go already because she wants to go home. And even the little redhead who was there in the car, she gets sulky saying that they should stop with the romance. Her jealous aura was so strong that it was even coming out of the car. Mia keeps saying that she would have preferred to leave by bus because she would have already gotten home. The little redhead keeps saying that Mia didn't even miss the bus by accident and keeps hinting that she was late, only to go home by car. The girl gets a little embarrassed and asks why she is saying that. The little redhead says it's because she has feelings for Teos. That's why she pretended to be late only to go by car. And besides, since she was Teos' ex-girlfriend, she probably still has feelings for him. Mia keeps saying that the little redhead is very cute and already starts hugging Rayon, saying that she is very adorable, and ends up saying that she has no feelings for Teos and had already figured out that the little redhead liked him. And if by chance the little girl wanted, she could help her be with the boy. After all, it had been more than 5 years since they last saw each other, so she had already lost all interest. And she even says that the relationship she had with Teos was something fleeting from high school that meant nothing to her. It seems that Rayon does not really believe in that, guys. And then Mia offers help again so that the redhead can be with Teos. After all, she has been in love with him for a long time. The girl, she is shocked to hear those words, but the brunette said it was obvious that the redhead liked him. Besides, everyone already knew. It seemed that Teos was the only dumb one who did not suspect it. With blushing cheeks, she says that Teos has been tutoring her since elementary school, so he probably saw her as a little sister, so it would be very difficult to win him over. The two were already returning inside the car, and Mia keeps saying that she just had to confess. If she did not try, she would not succeed. But first she would have to solve an issue, and ends up pointing her finger outside, saying that the main issue is the president. The guys were stalling to get into the car, and Mia said it was because our hero liked her. A week had passed, and the exams were already starting. Our big guy, he noticed that there were several cherry blossoms, and Mia appeared beautiful as always. Now she was no longer using that nerd disguise, guys, and she ended up becoming one of the most popular freshmen. Even that short-haired girl did not leave her side. Holding the cell phone, she keeps asking for a photo, and Mia said that she did not like photography. The big guy asked why she was not wearing the nerd uniform, and she said it was because her followers would keep bothering her. Tae-soo even imagines that she will suffer this harassment for about 3 months. At that moment, Rayon appears all excited and gives Tae-soo a hug. She asks if his classes were already over, and he says yes, and all excited she invites him to go see the cherry blossom, saying that it was very beautiful. At that moment he has a brilliant idea and knew he could make money from it. He took his old camera and started offering photos for sale. Poor Rayon only wanted a romantic date, but she was there working with him. She even asked what that meant, and he only said it was a great opportunity to earn extra income. He had bought a camera back in the first year and also got about 30 rolls of film, only it did not pay off to sell the camera and the rolls because it would be too cheap. It was more worth selling the photographs themselves. And he even thanks Rayon, saying that thanks to her invitation he ended up remembering that camera. The girl's goal was only to observe the flowers together with him, so she decides to help him sell as many photos as possible, and quickly too, so there would be more time left. so she starts shouting to everyone, offering photos for 5,000 won. He laughs, saying that she was very excited to help him. They had been friends for quite a while, and if he had not fallen in love until now, she would not give up. At that moment, that streamer appears, and the redhead already gets jealous when she hears her voice. The girl keeps trying to seduce our hero, saying that she will buy the photos. And poor little redhead realizes that he who appeared in the back was exactly Mia. It did not matter that the girl had said she did not like Taisu. She still felt that there was chemistry between them and was even afraid that Taisu would start having romantic feelings again. Our big guy, he was there taking the photos, and they started making several different poses. And we know that the desire of that short streamer is to seduce the big guy and then take revenge on him. And in the end, all the girls ended up taking photos together. And poor little Rayon was there sulking, because she just wanted a moment alone with her love. The streamer, she is all excited, saying that the photos were of great quality, and trying to seduce him with her sweet and cute voice. She asks if by any chance he has a photography course, but he says no, and the photos only turned out well because of the beautiful models. Again trying to seduce him, she asks if by any chance he was flirting with her, and asks why he also does not appear in the photos, and if by chance he was ashamed. If he wanted and felt better, they could go to a more private place to take the photos, but at that moment someone appears beside her, putting a hand on her shoulder. Mia knew that this girl was trying to seduce Taisu, and so she goes there to call this girl to eat cake. After all, she had offered cake with tea to Mia. The girl said she would pay for this afternoon snack another day because she was busy, but with a terrible look, Mia said she would like to eat this afternoon snack now, and with that the girl ends up accepting because she did not have much to do. And so Mia manages to take all the girls as far away as possible from Taisu. All this to help our dear Rayon, and even looks back winking, saying that she should be confident and win the boy. She feels like crying with emotion thanks to the help, and taking a deep breath she puts her hand on her chest, saying that she needs to have courage. If 10 times she tried was not enough, she would try one more time, and if it did not work, another one. The big guy asks what is wrong with her. Then she offers to use all the film left in the camera to take photos together. She had finally managed to gather courage, guys. Only the president appears to ruin everything, and even calls Taisu and Rayon. She had heard from other students that the big guy was taking photos near the cherry blossoms, and so she brought everyone to take photos. And our hero, he is there all in love. Poor little Rayon realized that she would not have an easy task, and so they started taking several photos, and our hero did not take his eyes off the president. The photo session had finally ended, and on another day, when he was returning home, he ends up meeting Mia. She was taking pictures of those cherry blossoms, and he even thought she was more enchanting than ever. And since she was all dressed up, he imagined that she was probably going out with someone, because this place was quite famous for couples dates. And he even gets embarrassed, saying that she put more effort into her look than usual. She was posing while taking the photo, and he even jokes, saying that she had not stopped being a nerd. The girl, she was looking like the old Mia he knew. Although she had a stylish appearance, she was one of the best students. Rayon, who studied with her in the same class, mentions that Mia has the best grades, and the guys in college would not stop commenting about her, saying that she was the prettiest girl, and wherever she passed, everyone fell in love. And after that night at the camp, she stopped avoiding him as she had been doing. And whenever she saw him at college, she would say a simple hello. That is because since they would be bumping into each other all the time, it would be too awkward to ignore each other. But our protagonist, he did not like Mia anymore, he liked the president. But whenever he remembered his ex-girlfriend, his heart beat faster. And returning to the present, there he was staring at the girl. Whenever he got involved with Mia, strange situations ended up happening. And whatever she was doing, he should simply ignore her. But 2 guys appear hitting on her. He even wonders if those were Mia's friends, then ends up hearing her saying that she has a boyfriend, and that they could not keep approaching her. The guys were inviting the girl to go to a bar with them to drink a beer. At that moment, he decides to go help her, but remembers the girl saying that she does not like receiving help from others. So Taisu, he does not know if he should just go help or stay still. At that moment, she appears beside him, saying that this one is her boyfriend. The guy does not understand anything, and starts sweating cold. And pointing her finger at Taisu, she says that she is dating him, and so the guy should leave. And grabbing Taesu's arm, she keeps saying that they could not bother him because her boyfriend would get jealous. She even looks at him and gives a wink, as if it were for him to join in this little story. And all embarrassed, he ends up admitting to the guys that they are dating, and even says, stuttering, that she is his girlfriend. She celebrates in a cute way, and those guys there knew Taesu from college. They even worked in the same department. And they all get excited, saying that they did not know that Taesu was dating. At that moment, the short-haired girl ends up passing by and hears all this conversation. Seeing that scene, she wonders if they were really going out together. The blonde guy already takes out a cell phone and starts taking a photo of them, saying that since they are a couple, they should take romantic photos. Mia realized that lies have short legs and even started to get into trouble. But our hero whispers there beside her, saying that those guys are just romantic and like to see couples. And hugging her, he said that she should join in this little story so they could be at peace. After all, it was no use denying it, since she made up a lie. They should go to the end. The two keep saying that this couple is very cute. Taisu says that probably Mia is feeling uncomfortable, but she should stay calm because soon it would be over. She was all embarrassed and did not know where to put her face, and even says that if by chance he insists she could take more photos with him. I tell you guys, deep down this girl here still likes him. She laughs saying it was a joke. She has no special reason to want to take photos with Taisu and is only taking these photos to get rid of those guys. All embarrassed, he says that he knows that is exactly the case, and there were the guys taking the photographs and even commenting that they made a beautiful couple. This was their first photo together after 5 years. Some time passes and we go to the department. Spring was starting and the girls comment that it is the season of love. Our hero keeps listening to all this conversation and they start planning something about Valentine's Day. Taisu hears a strange noise coming from the student council and upon opening the door realizes that all the guys were sad and crying. He even asks what had happened and they comment that Valentine's Day is coming and they do not have any girl to go out with. And to make things worse, the freshman girls were too pretty for them and they would not have any chance to go out with them. Since they were ugly, the girls ended up running away from them. The president was talking with other students and they were deciding what they were going to do at this event. Since they did not have any girlfriends, they decide that they will spend Valentine's Day in a LAN house. One of the girls told the president that the boys' flirting was increasing, and she decides that she will give them a punishment. She told them that they could not drink anymore on Valentine's Day. And the guys, they already start crying to the protagonist after telling this whole story, because besides not having any girlfriends, they could not participate in the party. And they even ask if by chance he has some girl to introduce to them. Only Taisu's situation was not easy at all, guys. He was in love with the president, but he had no chance of being with her, especially because it seemed that destiny wanted him to be with Mia and not with the president. At that moment, he realized that he was thinking too much about Mia, and the guys there asked why he had that strange face, and he said it was nothing. Lately, he has been waking up thinking about his ex-girlfriend, and when he goes to sleep, he also thinks about her. As he had helped the girl with those photos, she said she would repay him, and he keeps asking how she is going to do that. One of the classmates asks if Taisu was not dating Rayon, and he said no, and even gets mad saying that they always ask that. The scene changes to Rayon's apartment. She was holding the photo she took together with our hero and was all happy because now she had a photo with him. Her roommate shows up asking if she was looking at the photo of her husband and she starts screaming saying that they are not married. Her roommate keeps saying that she should confess to him soon before she loses the opportunity. If she kept stalling too much, other girls could catch the fish, and as she was madly in love, she could not waste time. And even says that Rayon deserves someone better than Taisu because he was such a goofy guy. But the girl gets excited saying that there is no one better than him and she is so in love that her friend even mentions that the shine is too strong. Only the girl asks the redhead if she was fine with that girl. The girl in question she was mentioning was Shinabim, that short streamer. With a little laugh, the girl said yes, she does not worry about that girl. Actually, Taisu, he did not show any interest at all when he talked to her the last time. She knew very well that when he liked a person, he could not take his eyes off, just like he was doing in that photo he took together with the president, poor Rayon. She ended up being left aside because she knew very well that he liked that woman, but her real concern was with another person. The one she truly worried about was Mia. In the media department, the president was talking with Mia about Taisu, and he keeps spying to try to find out what they were talking about him. After arranging something involving our hero, they clap their hands and he shows up. The president welcomes the big guy, and he asks what they were talking about him.
Our protagonist was very curious to know what they were talking about, and somebody was on a small phone call saying that she had already prepared the materials. Meanwhile, our hero couldn't stop staring at Mia. There was something about her that bothered him, and it was the supposed gossip the two were making. The guy kept wondering what the two were talking about when he heard his name. At that moment, Mia looked at our hero and asked what the hell he was staring at. Ah, I know. So you're curious to know what I was talking about with somebody about you, aren't you? Just by looking at your red face, it's clear it's true. It was obvious she was testing him, and the girl stood there saying he should relax because she hadn't said anything bad. The girl kept saying that actually they were complimenting Taisu, but the guy didn't really believe it. He even wondered how she had changed so much, since in the past she didn't get along with anyone and was very shy. But now, after a few years, she had become extremely popular, surrounded by friends. The guy even felt good because he saw she had changed for the better. But the scene cut to Hyun saying that maybe that wasn't the real Mia. Our hero remembered his friend saying that, and he started to think that maybe this Mia was an imposter. She stood up saying she had paid the debt since she was helping him get together with his senior. At that moment, some guy appeared and asked what debt she was paying, and Mia tried to play it off, and our hero was dying of embarrassment. Before leaving, she made a mischievous face, telling him to have good luck since she was leaving the two alone. All embarrassed, he realized that this was Mia's strategy so that the two could have a date. Now that he was with some guy, he thought that maybe it was strange for his ex-girlfriend to set up a date for him. But we could see that Mia didn't seem very happy, guys. Well, a debt is a debt, right? I don't want to owe him anything. That's what she said. Back in the department room, our hero kept staring at the blonde. I don't know if I like that girl very much, guys. I think I still prefer Mia. and at that moment, the boy started thinking about it. With blushing cheeks, he thought that maybe this was his chance to make a love confession. It could be perfect if it happened naturally, but he kept saying that he didn't want things to turn out that way, kind of forced. After finishing, the girl said she had done all her tasks, and the guy got startled. Taisu got worried, wondering if he should ask her out. But the one who took the initiative was Sunbae, asking if he had already eaten. Ah, what? What did you say? She was asking him to eat, and so they went to a restaurant. On the way back, they stopped by a pastry shop, and she ended up getting a filled crepe. The guy said he didn't know there was a place like that near the department where they worked and studied. With a cute little laugh, she said she hadn't known either until a few days ago, and that place had become very special. Looking at her, he was completely smitten, thinking that this was the reason he liked her so much, because she was such a lively girl. He would have even more reasons to like that girl, and you'll see why. When he had left home to live alone, it was Sunbae who had helped him. Resu Sunbae had helped him in many ways, and that's why he was very grateful to her. She had helped him get a job and a place to live, and at that moment she ended up surprising him, showing a bit of charm. I don't know guys, it seems like this girl is playing with Taisu's little heart. But the coward kept making excuses, saying that he just hadn't confessed because he had too many problems with his red-haired friend. And when everything was finally being resolved, he had the problem of meeting Mia again. The girl asked what had happened to him since he looked pretty worried, and he said something had gotten in his eye, but the girl interrupted him, asking if there was something he wanted to tell her. According to Mia, it seemed like Taisu had something very important to talk to her about, and she wanted to know. My god, I can't believe Mia did that. She put me in a dead end, but she just wanted to help, right guys? After swallowing hard, he started thinking about what kind of answer he should give. Hey Sunbae, what I want to say is that I like you a lot. In fact, I've had romantic feelings for you for quite some time. And when he said he had always liked her, she put her hand over her mouth and blushed. Actually, that was nothing but a thought, guys. He didn't say anything. He was just there, staring at the girl. She had always been very kind to him, and maybe that's why he developed romantic feelings, but in truth, she was always kind to everyone. The scene returned to reality, and Sunbae was still there staring at him, waiting for an answer. He imagined that maybe he could ruin their friendship by confessing, and he took so long to respond that the ice cream next to the crêpe even started melting. Or better, inside the crêpe, right? Trying to play it off, he said that what he wanted to talk to her about was when they would go out to eat again. All cheerful, she kept saying that she knew some really good restaurants, and said that they could eat after the exams. All nervous and with red cheeks, he kept saying that he couldn't lose this friendship he had with her. However, Risu Sunbae would graduate this year, so he had little time to confess. The fact that she was still there meant that maybe it was fate giving him one last chance. At that moment, she called out to Taisu, and he was surprised, gently fixing his hair. She asked if she could taste a bit of his dessert. The guy agreed, and she took a bite. The scene shifted to a little later, and we saw that the guy was all happy because of the date earlier today. He was jumping for joy, and a little girl even asked her mom who that happy fool was. He had finished his date with Sunbae and already had another one scheduled, and he even wanted to go thank Mia, but when he was getting home, he noticed the girl was outside. He even wondered what was going on, and there was Mia with a very sad face. He called out to the girl, and at that moment she opened her eyes. When she looked at Taisu, her cheeks were flushed, as if she had been drinking. Smiling, she asked if Taisu had really arrived. The scene changed to the university district. There were some girls gossiping about Taisu. One of them was Hyben, the blonde streamer, and she was complaining, saying that Taisu didn't like women. That was because she had already thrown all her charm at him, but it seemed like the guy wasn't interested. No matter how many times she tried to get our protagonist's attention, he always avoided her. She even suggested going to his house to do a school project, and he refused. The girl kept chasing him, and when she asked if he had a day off, he said he always had plans. She was all disappointed because she thought he wouldn't be able to resist her charms, and all angry, she slammed her hand on the table, saying that no man had ever ignored her. And with tears in her eyes, she said she had never been treated like that, and that there must be something wrong with him. No, girl, it's because he's really in love with another girl. One of her friends said that Taisu was very handsome, but he had a flawed personality. The girls kept saying that he was probably in love with Mia, but the redhead said that didn't make sense. He was supposed to like her, since she was much prettier than that so-called Mia. However, she kept saying that there was another girl who was always with him, some Hyben. One of the friends corrected her, saying that actually her name was Hyben, the girl who hung out with him, and so they started spreading gossip, saying it looked like he was dating, and we already know where that kind of gossip leads, right? Later, our hero ended up taking Mia home. He laid her in bed since the girl seemed to have drunk a lot. She was sleeping all curled up, and he kept wondering what the hell was going on. While staring at Mia, he realized she really was very cute. It was a situation that could easily get out of hand, so he stayed there trying to control himself. Minutes earlier, he had found her at the apartment door. With tears in her eyes, the girl said she couldn't go back into her apartment. She told him she had been watching TV and drinking a lot, but then she noticed there was an insect there, and it was the worst insect of all. It was a flying cockroach, so she ran out of her apartment and locked everything up. And while she was crouched down, she said she would sleep outside anyway, but our hero ended up picking her up and told her to open the door right away because he was going to get the insect out, and that's how he ended up in that situation. After she had calmed down, she fell asleep, and he put the girl in bed. But he kept looking at Mia and realized she was very different from how she was in high school. and looking at her clothes he noticed that she had also grown, becoming a bit taller. Then he began to remember Hyun's theories, saying that maybe she was an imposter since, in high school, the two were the same height. While he was putting away Mia's clothes, he kept thinking that this sounded kind of like a conspiracy theory. If this one isn't my imposter, what is she trying to do? Why does she seem so anxious for me to date another girl? Last time it was with Hyun. She had kind of forced our hero to have a date with her, and yesterday it actually happened, but with Sunbae. He even wondered if Mia wasn't being too obvious in trying to make him stay as far away from her as possible. But if she truly hated him, it wouldn't make sense for her to act that way. Back on the day of the cherry blossoms when they went to take pictures, they acted like a real couple, and she even held onto his arm, and on that occasion she asked if he still had feelings for her. The guy shook his head, saying no. He doesn't have feelings for her, what he truly likes is his senior, but he becomes thoughtful, guys. It seems that the feelings from the past are finally starting to bloom in his little heart. He also remembers the day of the camp, when she kept saying that everything would be different if they hadn't met again. But the guy realized that he was still stuck in the past, and even thought that he was the only one with those wrong feelings. He even wondered since when she started pretending that nothing had happened between them. They dated during high school, and he was madly in love with her, but the girl simply disappeared. That definitely wasn't the Mia he used to love so much. The scene flashes back to the two of them making out in the hallway. We can see that they really were a very passionate couple, guys, and since she was short, she had to stand on her tiptoes. He thinks that this Mia he loved so much now exists only in his memories. He goes back to his apartment and runs straight to the shower. The guy was so shaken by all those memories that he got under the water without taking his clothes off. All downcast, he kept telling himself that he had already gotten over everything. From now on, he would act as if she weren't his ex-girlfriend. While thinking about Mia, he kept saying that maybe he was too worried about her, since maybe the girl didn't even think about him. And while drying himself, he said that he should worry more about his senior. Sunbae was the girl he really liked. Every time he saw Sunbae's smile, he got all silly, and she was the only girl who made him stop thinking about cost-benefit, since the guy only used to think about money and neglected relationships. The department colleagues kept saying that Sunbae would never date anyone because she only cared about her studies. She had already refused more than 100 dates, and that's why the guy hesitated to really ask her out. And while remembering Mia, he kept saying that this girl turned his mind upside down, since now he had another problem to deal with. He went back to the apartment to see if she was okay, and since he didn't have to work early the next day, he decided to spend the whole night playing games. He noticed that she was feeling nauseous since she had drunk too much. He got worried, afraid that she might vomit and he'd have to clean everything. Damn, this Mia really gives me a lot of work. He decided to leave her alone there in the room and check on her later to see if she was okay. The girl started lifting her shirt, complaining that it was hot, and when he noticed Mia's belly, he got all embarrassed. That guy is shameless, and he even said that his heart started beating faster. Okay, I've seen her belly plenty of times, but he started trembling nervously since she looked like she was waking up. So he ended up wrapping the girl in a blanket and taking her to another room. He wanted to take her to his place, where there was air conditioning, but on the way someone showed up. Taesu heard Sunbae's voice calling him, and when he looked back, he feared the worst might be happening. It was precisely the girl he liked, seeing him with another woman. At that moment, Mia opened her eyes, and when she realized it, she was in the apartment hallway with Taesu. She asked what was going on, and with tears in his eyes, he asked if she had a good dream. She got startled and asked why the hell she was in the hallway. And now that she was awake and seemed better, he took the blanket back. He was crying because the girl he loved saw that situation, and he said he should keep his distance from Mia. Opening the door to his apartment, he said he would explain better tomorrow, and after slamming the door shut, he yelled from the other side, saying not to faint in the hallway again. The girl scratched her head, not understanding anything, and all cute, she asked what that was supposed to mean. On the other side of the door, out in the hallway, Mia asked if something bad had happened, and he kept mumbling, saying that when it came to Sunbae, nothing ever worked out. The scene shifted to the next day. The college announcement said that the sports competition season was coming. Everyone was wondering about the new clubs that would be opened, and our guy ended up getting startled since Mia was right in front of him. "Wait a minute, I think you're following me," said Taesu. He joked, saying that she had messed everything up with Sunbae since she fainted in the hallway and he had to help her. But the girl got mad, saying she didn't ask for his help. But that was just a joke, guys. He even told her not to take it so seriously. Then the scene went back to the previous night so we could understand what had happened. She had caught our protagonist in the act with another girl. She explained that her family had made some food, so she decided to bring some to Taesu. She wanted to share the food with him but didn't know he was with Mia. She even made a little face pretending she wasn't jealous, but quickly turned around and apologized for coming without notice, saying that next time she would call in advance. After explaining everything to Mia, he took that goth girl with him to Sunbae's department to explain it all to the blonde. After that, Mia explained to Taesu that she was suffering from insomnia. She hadn't been able to sleep, so she decided to drink to see if she could fall asleep. And she even warned him that this was the first time she had passed out like that and that he shouldn't go around telling people about it. Then the guy remembered her all seductive in bed, and with her cheeks blushing, she said she didn't remember anything. The last memory she had was of the hallway. She vaguely remembered telling him there was an insect in her house. "Wait a minute, so you want me to pretend that I didn't spend the whole night taking care of you because you were drunk?" But she got angry, saying she didn't want him to pretend anything. If he wanted, he could charge her down to the last cent. Besides, if he went around telling people what had happened, she would sue him and call her lawyer on him. What a crazy girl, I was just joking. I think it's better to keep my distance from her anyway. In the hallway he ran into Mia, that scene we just described. But that friend from the camp showed up and hugged the goth girl from behind. My question is, why is that girl so clingy? And our protagonist wasn't understanding anything. That girl wanted help from Mia and Tao to hand out flyers promoting a new club. Hyben, that blonde streamer, was opening a new club and extending the invitation to our hero, asking if he wanted to join. It was a game development club, and he said that the flyer looked really dull. And not even as a joke. The little girl there said that they made the flyer like that on purpose to attract only the people who were truly interested. The girl started flattering Mia, and Mia said she wasn't interested in that club. But then she turned to our hero and said that if she joined that club, it was for him not to show up there even once. Geez, what a weird girl. It really seems like she hates me. That girl ended up picking a leaf that had fallen into Mia's hair and said that the goth girl was way too careless to be letting dirt get in her hair. Taisu wondered since when those two had become such good friends. And seeing Mia like that, talking to other people, it seemed like she had really matured. It made sense since it had already been over 5 years, but maybe this one was an imposter. He kept thinking, if this really wasn't the Mia he dated in the past, then he had to find out. A little later that same day, he ended up opening the door of a department, and who else could be there but Mia, right? He asked why the hell the girl was following him, but she said that she was the one being followed. Fine, stay there. When you're done, I'll come back. She got mad and told him to come in already, since that was a library. While flipping through some books, he kept saying there was only one way to find out if she was the real Mia or not. It was a scar she had on her chest. The girl asked why he was staring at her, and the guy said that he just found the book she was reading fascinating. At that moment, he changed the subject and said that since she had insomnia, why didn't she have dark circles under her eyes? But the girl said she covered them up with makeup. Besides, it wasn't his fault, so he shouldn't be worried about her. And with a bored expression, she said that he shouldn't worry too much. Her sleep schedule was a bit messed up, and that definitely wasn't his fault. Okay, you've said that already, stop repeating yourself. And that ended up making the girl really angry, because she kept insisting that it wasn't his fault. We could already tell that yes, it was his fault. The guy even teased her, saying that she couldn't sleep because she stayed up all night playing games, but that made her very embarrassed because she didn't want others to know that she played a nerdy game. At that moment, Hyben appeared there in the department, leaving the girl all flustered, trying to hide it. She asked what they were talking about, and our hero said it was about the master of the 5th ranked guild on the server. Hyben also played that game, guys, and she was part of the same guild as Mia. Mia's character was that one with glasses, all stylish, and everyone wanted to find out who the famous leader was. Hyben, the one with the earrings, got all excited since the guild master was such a cool guy. She was totally in love with that person, saying that her dream was to meet him in real life. She even had a little doll of the guild master that she hugged every night. But now she found out that Mia was the guild master. All of this was happening in the student council room. She ran out and locked the door. No way, no way, no way. So Mia is the fallen angel, the guild master. Taisu must be lying. He must be mistaken. This can't be true. At that moment, she heard from inside Mia getting angry, saying that he shouldn't reveal that kind of thing out loud, especially at the university. That seemed to be a secret. Then her friend's theory made sense. It really seemed like Taisu was dating Mia. The girl there kept saying that they acted very intimately, and Hyben started imagining in her mind Mia interacting with Taisu. She was speaking in a sweet voice, saying that it was their biggest secret, that they played a game together. The scene shifted to classroom 3, and the girl couldn't stop thinking about it, guys. On the way, her friend ran into her, saying she had something very important to tell her. Hey, I have something to tell you. If you found out that the master you respect so much, Dalatra, was in a complicated relationship with that jerk, what would you do? Then she explained that it was about Taisu and Mia, and the two of them were in a relationship. She didn't know whether to root for Mia or hope that they would break up. At that moment, someone appeared holding a cup of coffee. It was the redhead, and she looked very upset, wanting to know what they were talking about. What did you just say? Hyben was totally in love with Taisu, and that's why she wanted to know what they were saying about some supposed relationship. The scene shifted to a little later. Hyben went to Taisu's house and started ringing the doorbell. She pressed it several times, so he opened the door in a bad mood, asking what was going on. His red-haired friend was there asking if he had some time. Actually, she wanted to talk to Mia to ask her something important, but it seemed Mia's doorbell wasn't working. He even asked if maybe it was broken, and she hesitated to press it. After she came in and they started talking, he asked if those rumors about him dating Mia had made her nervous. Trying to play it off, the girl said no, and even asked if it was true or false. But the guy said it was false, already afraid that Hyun would hit him since he knew the girl was in love. She gave off a dark aura, saying she only came there to confirm if Mia also knew about the rumor. Our hero was afraid she would cause trouble, but the girl made a shy face, saying she would never fight because of that. At that moment, the girl asked why he was home since he was supposed to be at work. Then he said that actually he wasn't working today. Since he would be off, the girl confirmed if he really didn't have work. If that was the case, he could go out with her for a walk or do something together. Our guy started coming up with excuses, saying he had some spreadsheets to fill out, and poor Hyun knew very well that he was turning her down. So the girl asked if she could stay there. She wanted to stay in his room while he filled out those spreadsheets. and the guy said it was fine, but deep down she felt a bit humiliated, since she was losing to the other two girls, Mia and Sunbae. Of course, Taesu knew the girl liked him, but since they were childhood friends, he always saw Hyun as that 11-year-old kid. The guy even wondered if he still saw her that way because they had been very close when they were children. In his room, Hyun mentioned that her brothers were visiting her at the end of the month and asked if our hero wanted to go out with them, but without even asking which day, he immediately said that he'd be busy. She got angry, saying that he was just making excuses, and our guy got all embarrassed. She was the youngest among two much older brothers who really loved her. And since he was friends with Hyun, the girl's brothers used to threaten our protagonist, saying he wasn't allowed to date her. And of course he felt intimidated, since both of them were national fighting champions, and even said that if he dated their little sister, they would shave his head. Maybe that's why he didn't have any romantic interest in the girl. And looking at her, the girl had really matured and wasn't that little kid she used to be. And although Hyun had become more mature and pretty, she hadn't changed as drastically as Mia. Wow, he thought, glancing sideways, suspecting that maybe Mia was an imposter. Maybe she could be her twin sister, but his ex-girlfriend had never mentioned having any siblings. Still, the memories and things she talked about matched what he had lived with her in high school, and when he met her for the first time again at the police station, she even remembered his family. But what was strange was that this current Mia didn't like coffee, completely opposite to his ex-girlfriend. Maybe that was why he had strong suspicions. She had drastically changed some things, even Mia's way of speaking had changed, and every time he remembered that sweet smile of hers, he got nervous, wondering if she really was his ex-girlfriend from the past. Our guy didn't know whether he wanted this to be the real Mia or not. At that moment, Hyun started looking at our protagonist. He was startled since she had caught him off guard. With her face very close to his, she mentioned that he seemed sick since his face was all red. She leaned in and placed her hand on his forehead to see if he had a fever or something like that. She checked her own temperature and realized that she was the one who was hot, probably because it was very warm. Then the girl checked again to see if he was sick or not. Wait, my heart is racing. Even though Hyun was touching him, the only thing he could think about was Mia, and with blushing cheeks he thought that maybe this meant he still liked her. But the redhead noticed that something was strange. She was touching his chest and that made her embarrassed. She even remembered her roommate saying that she should confess to Taesu soon because otherwise he would start dating one of the other two girls. Our shy hero called out Rayon's name, and all flustered she repeated his name softly. She even remembered that during the camping trip, Mia had offered to help her get together with Taesu. However, the girl told Mia that she didn't need any help. She didn't need Mia to win over our hero's little heart. And there in his room the girl started trembling nervously. While typing to play it off, he asked Rayon what she was doing, but she told him to wait a moment because she was checking if he was okay. I don't know what kind of checking that is. The mood got really romantic, but to completely break it, someone ended up pressing the doorbell. On the other side was Mia asking Taesu if he was home. She said she wanted to talk to him about something. The girl pressed the doorbell again and even started finding it strange, saying he should be home at that time. But inside we saw that Hyun was covering his mouth. She told him to stay quiet and not to say he was there, and she did that while hanging over him. Then Mia said from outside that she just wanted to let him know that a letter had been delivered to her house by mistake and she accidentally opened it. And already leaving, she said it was fine, that she would give him the letter tomorrow. And inside, the redhead waited to make sure Mia had gone. Sighing, she said that had been a surprise. She didn't think Mia would show up out of nowhere, but at that moment she realized that our hero wasn't okay. She was almost strangling him, and the guy even fainted, so she started shaking the chair, begging him to wake up. Everyone used to say that Hyun should be with Taesu because they made such a cute couple. Whenever she heard that from her friends, she started yelling and getting angry since it was so embarrassing for her. Little Hyun had grown up in a very turbulent environment since her brothers were extremely competitive and also trained in martial arts. Because of that, Hyun had also become quite rough. And whenever a friend said something she didn't like, she reacted aggressively. But her friends told Taesu that even Hyun, who was wild, turned into a gentle lamb in front of him. But our guy felt like a little ant, an ant before an elephant, as if Hyun were far more powerful than him. Back in the present, there was the redhead begging him to wake up. Even though she was wild, Hyun was a kind person. The guy wasn't feeling well after almost being choked. Time was passing quickly, and that week the exams were starting. The girls at the game development club were talking about how hard the test would be. 8 weeks had already passed since the semester started, and Hyben was crying, saying that she hadn't studied at all. That was because she had spent too much time playing and worrying about Taesu. One of her friends asked why she was so worried about Taesu and Mia, and a little embarrassed and bored, she said she didn't want to talk about it anymore. They kept saying that the two were dating, which was why Hyben was actually jealous. And to make things worse, Mia opened the door, catching them red-handed talking about someone's relationship. Hyben ended up hiding, and Mia asked where the girl was. She had run off, jumped on the couch, and sat there shyly, trying to avoid that kind of topic. Besides Mia supposedly dating Taesu, the guy she liked, she had also discovered that Mia was the guildmaster she so idolized. One of the girls there asked Mia if by any chance she had stayed up all night, and Mia said yes, and the short-haired girl, completely breaking expectations, asked if she had stayed up all night because she was dating Taesu, and the redhead there even got mad. The girl said she figured the two were dating because she had seen them taking pictures under the cherry blossoms a few weeks ago, and also noticed that she was holding onto the guy's arm, and very naturally mentioned that everyone believed the two were in a relationship. As she approached Mia, she asked if they were secretly dating and didn't want it to become public, leaving Mia cornered. "Do you guys want to know if Taisu and I are dating?" When she was about to reveal whether the rumors were true or not, Hyben almost had a fit. Then the scene went to the girls' bathroom. Hyben was there, all happy. That was because Mia had said that they weren't dating, and that they were more like enemies. Hyben still remembered that Mia had made a disgusted face when someone mentioned that she was supposedly dating that guy. With that, Hyben could feel more confident about continuing her attempts with Taisu. That meant she still had a chance. And outside, while drying her hands, she was thinking about the next strategy to win over our hero. But she knew the game would be tough because she was competing with Sunbae, who was, let's say, much more well-endowed than her, if you know what I mean. So she started screaming in frustration. Meanwhile, Mia was leaving the game room looking a little sad. She was thoughtful about those rumors spreading around the university. And according to her, it kind of made sense since she was always close to our hero. No matter the situation, they were always together. But ever since she met Tiaso, it seemed like exhausting things had been happening in her life. She even asked herself where everything had gone wrong. She always ran into him. It seemed like they were connected. She also kept remembering how well they got along, and even thought that maybe she had been careless for choosing to live in an apartment near his. At that moment, she ended up bumping into our protagonist and got really startled. The guy asked why she had reacted so dramatically. It almost looked like she had seen a ghost. At that moment, he asked why she was wearing such casual clothes and not all dressed up like usual, and she said it was because of the exams. But then she got all embarrassed, wondering why she was even giving him those explanations, and with a pouty face she said that it was none of his business, and that she could dress however she wanted. But our guy said that wasn't it. Actually, she looked really pretty wearing those clothes and even reminded him of their high school days. Hearing those words, Mia got all flustered. It seemed like his words hit her right in the heart, but then he said goodbye, telling her he was going to prepare for the exams, and she raised her hand to wave. But since she was trying to act tough with him, she wondered why she had raised her hand and quickly pulled it back, saying that she shouldn't be waving. The scene shifted to a little later. She kept saying that ever since she met Taesu, her life had turned upside down, and unexpectedly running into him again at the university made it even worse. And worst of all, now they lived in apartments right next to each other. While they were going up to the apartment in the elevator, something ended up happening. They got stuck because the elevator broke down. Our guy pressed the emergency button, and when he spoke with the staff, they said they'd send a repair team, but it would take a while. The guy turned to her saying it would take about 20 minutes, and he even asked if she was that worried about being stuck there with him, and he was someone disgusting to her. He even pointed to the security camera, saying that he wouldn't do anything bad to her since they were being watched. She got a bit annoyed, saying that wasn't it and that she knew very well he wouldn't do anything. The reason she was worried was because she was terrified of situations like this. They were scary. She kept saying it felt like one of those horror movies where a ghost could appear at any moment. Jokingly, he asked if she wanted to hear a ghost story, and she started screaming in fear. Ever since she was little, she had been tormented by that kind of movie, so she didn't like anything involving ghosts. Trying to sound brave, Mia said that she didn't believe in that kind of thing, but even so, she felt a sense of unease. At that moment, the lights went out. The girl screamed saying she had seen a ghost, and because of that, she ended up clinging to Taesu. He turned on his phone's flashlight, telling the girl to calm down because it was just a power outage. Her ears were red from nervousness, and he even asked since when she had become so scared. Minutes later, the emergency light came on, and with the girl so close to his body, he said that she'd better calm down or she might get hurt. Trying to reassure her, he said she didn't need to worry because he was there with her. Realizing that the scene was getting very romantic, he stepped back and told her not to get the wrong idea because he was only trying to calm her down, but Mia got annoyed, saying that he didn't need to keep repeating that. She knew that very well, and with a face as red as a pepper, she said he didn't have to repeat obvious things since she knew he was just doing it to protect her. 30 minutes had already passed, and the maintenance team still hadn't arrived. The girl was feeling very cold, so Taesu took off his jacket and handed it to her. She made a bored face as if she didn't like it. "Oh please girl, we know very well that you actually liked it." He asked if she wanted to say something and she said no. Well, actually she was just curious about something. The guy wasn't paying much attention to what Mia was saying and just kept playing that game on his phone. He even explained that he had set his character in the game to auto-farm. "Hey Taesu, I said there's something I'd like to ask. Aren't you listening to me?" He said she could ask. Then she questioned why he kept talking about money all the time. The guy thought that was provocation and asked if she wanted to pick a fight, but it wasn't that at all. She knew very well that his family was very wealthy, so it didn't make sense for him to talk about money all the time. It just made him seem stingy and cheap. She remembered that his parents were very strict but also well off. Calmly, he asked why she was questioning his life when she didn't want to talk about her own. She was about to apologize for being nosy, but then Taesu revealed that he had cut ties with his family. He had left home during his last year of high school, so it had been 4 years since he'd spoken to his parents. She asked if he had run away from home, and he said not necessarily, since he was an adult and had his own choices. It was a shame he hadn't gotten a national scholarship since his family was rich. That's why he came to study at this private school, and that was why he had asked her for money when they met at the police station. And that was also why he did all kinds of part-time jobs. He worked at gas stations, tutored students, and delivered food. Since he had to support himself and pay for school, he chose a university that wasn't too expensive, and that was something that Tisu she had known would never do. She remembered that her ex-boyfriend's family was extremely wealthy, the kind of family that had house servants, and that was the complete opposite of Mia's life, who had an alcoholic father. They lived in a small rented house, more like a rented room. At that moment she apologized to Tisu, and our guy asked why she was apologizing. That was because, back when they reunited at the police station, she had criticized him, thinking he was still just a spoiled rich kid like before. She had assumed he'd turned into a snob, teasing her just to show that she was poor, and she got so embarrassed that she even hid her face. Our guy laughed, saying she should relax and stop thinking badly of him. Looking at Taesu, she imagined she had always thought of him as a delicate flower in a greenhouse, but never knew he lived such a hard life, and laughing he admitted that he wanted to spend more time with her. When he saw her at the police station, he had wanted to ask her so many questions, but he felt awkward since he wasn't good with words. He even admitted that he'd been looking for excuses to meet her again so they could talk. And the more she heard him say those kinds of things, the heavier her heart felt. It was as if she were deeply regretting something, and all she wanted was for Taesu not to hold any grudges against her because he was such a kind guy. At that moment he joked, saying she had changed so much that she almost seemed like a different person, and she got startled hearing that. He kept remembering what she looked like when he met her at the police station, and said that the fact she had changed so much didn't mean something bad. He even joked that Hyewon had mentioned that maybe Mia was a different person, like an imposter. At that moment he got closer to Mia's face, asking if she was okay since she was so red. The girl screamed and asked why he was so close to her. He mentioned that she seemed sick, and she made an excuse, saying it was just very hot in there. Immediately the girl stood up and started complaining that almost 40 minutes had already passed, but Taehu said they'd probably take a while since it was rush hour. Little by little she started feeling unwell and dizzy. She said it was getting a bit hard to breathe, and our hero commented that he wasn't feeling anything like that, and then Mia ended up fainting. She collapsed right next to him, and the guy didn't know how to react. He noticed that her face was really red. And now came the most awaited moment of the story, guys. Mia's flashback. So we could understand what had happened. She had grown up in a village, and people there used to call Mia a stupid child. They called her that because she always walked around with a goofy smile on her face. Even when she found out that her parents weren't her real parents, she kept smiling. She had been adopted, but even so, she felt a strong love from her mother. When she was in 3rd grade, the factory her father owned went bankrupt, and they were drowned in debt. But even then, she didn't lose the smile on her face. Even in the face of all those hardships, her parents never abandoned her. When she entered high school, she began to suffer from bullying. People called her smelly and a beggar. But even then, she didn't lose the smile on her face. But it was in high school that she met the love of her life. Her prince arrived on a white horse and turned her life upside down. And it was there in high school that her mother began to work so hard that she started to get sick. Because of that, she developed a disease that was very difficult to treat. The following summer, her mother's condition worsened even more. Her father had also worked so much and spent so much money on her mother's treatment that he fell into deep depression. Then she discovered that her boyfriend's mother was friends with her own mother. So she went there to talk to Taesu's mother, asking to borrow money to pay for the treatment. That was when Taesu's mother asked the girl never to talk to her son again because she was poor and a bad influence. She said the worst possible things to Mia, telling her that she was ruining her son's bright future and that she would only lend the money if she disappeared from his life. Until that moment, little Mia still smiled. But right after accepting the money, her mother passed away. She couldn't even give her a proper funeral. And right after her mother's death, her father forced Mia to move to his hometown far from where she lived. And that was when Mia understood, the universe doesn't care about me. Maybe it's better to let my prince truly live his life, a worthy life abroad. Mia thought that if she had never existed, maybe her mother wouldn't have worked so hard and died from illness. If she hadn't existed, maybe her father's factory would never have gone bankrupt. If she hadn't existed, maybe her prince on the white horse wouldn't have had his life ruined by her. And from that moment on, Mia couldn't smile anymore. She received several messages from Taesu, but she refused to respond since she believed she was ruining his life. She always ruined the lives of those around her, and that's why she turned off her phone. At that moment, the girl woke up screaming because of her nightmare. She always dreamed about those memories from the past, which was why she had so much trouble sleeping. When she opened her eyes, she wondered where she was. Someone asked if she was awake yet, making Mia jump in fright, and the person who asked that was holding a knife. She got scared and screamed when she saw that it was Hyewon standing in front of her, but the cute girl asked why Mia was screaming like that. The redhead even mentioned that Mia seemed to be having a nightmare or something like that. Then she explained everything to Mia and said she was making some soup. She had fainted in the elevator, and Taesu had gone to the pharmacy to buy medicine. And she also told her that it was Taesu who had called her to come to Mia's apartment to take care of her. At that moment, Mia looked down and realized she was wearing Taesu's pajamas and immediately started yelling, asking who had changed her clothes. The redhead said that obviously it was her and that Taesu would never do something so disrespectful. Then the soup was ready, and Mia realized it was egg porridge. Giving a thumbs up, she told the girl to try it and said she was sure she wouldn't regret it since she guaranteed it was delicious. Mia wanted to know where Taesu was, and Hyun asked if she was disappointed that she was the one taking care of her and not the guy. At that moment, she became all shy and embarrassed because it seemed like she wanted Taesu to be the one taking care of her. So she told Hyun that it wasn't like that. Actually, she was just a little embarrassed for causing them trouble, but the redhead said she didn't mind and that she was doing all this for Taesu because she liked him. It had nothing to do with Mia. And if by any chance Mia thought she owed her for this help, actually it was repayment since Mia had helped Hyun take a picture with Taesu. Crossing her arms, the redhead told Mia to eat quickly before it got cold. Sick people should only focus on getting better, so she shouldn't worry about anything else. Smiling, Mia agreed and said she would try it, but the redhead kept teasing her and took the bowl away, saying that if she didn't want to eat, it was fine. Then Mia took a spoonful and blew on it to cool it down a little. Then she put the spoon with the soup in her mouth and realized the flavor was really delicious. What? Who the heck made this? It's so good. And the redhead just stood there giving a thumbs up. She said that the rice grains were soft and melting in her mouth. Hyun said that was exactly the same feeling she had when she tried that food for the first time. Normally Mia avoided soups with rice because she didn't like the texture, but this one was so delicious that she could easily eat 3 bowls. She even asked Hyun where she had learned it, and with a sinister look, Hyun asked if Mia was really questioning that. Our favorite goth girl didn't understand why Hyun was making that face. Then the redhead revealed who had taught her to make that kind of soup, and said that in fact it was Mia herself who had taught her. That caused confusion since Hyun had been thinking that maybe Mia was an imposter. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to the city center. Our hero had gone to a pharmacy and told the pharmacist that his friend was sick and even had a fever. Besides that, Mia had said she couldn't sleep and might have been taking some kind of medication for insomnia. He told the pharmacist that because maybe there could be some drug interactions with insomnia medicine, and the pharmacist agreed, saying that if she was taking sleeping pills, she couldn't take just any kind of medicine. Our hero had called Hyun so she could check if this Mia was the real one. The scene went to a flashback where the Mia from the past was telling him that she had a scar on her chest. The guy laughed, saying that was so random, and even asked what she meant by that. He even asked if she had gotten that scar while playing on the playground when she was a child, and he was confused as to why she had brought it up out of nowhere. According to her, since they were a couple, it would be nice for them to share a secret together. After thinking a lot, she decided to share this secret with him and even gathered courage to show him. The shameless guy got all excited. Taesu even asked if she knew what that meant, and she said yes, and that it had taken her a lot of courage to do that. All embarrassed, he said that if she really wanted to show him, then yes, he wanted to see it. At that moment, the girl hugged him from behind. He asked if she understood what it meant to show that scar, and she made a pouty face with flushed cheeks. She said yes, she knew very well what it meant. She wouldn't mind showing it to him since they had decided to spend the rest of their lives together. The guy joked, saying she was bolder than she looked, and she started yelling at him. Then the scene returned to the present. He had managed to confirm that scar she had, so he was going to ask Hyun if Mia really had that scar on her chest. He told his friend about it, and said she should check. If the scar was there, it meant that this Mia was the real one. He had already seen that scar before, but now since they weren't dating anymore, it didn't make sense for him to see it again. Looking up at the sky, he felt anxious, wondering if this was the real Mia or not. He had arrived at the apartment but was hesitating to go in. Back at the apartment, Hyun was saying that it was Mia herself who had taught her that recipe. With a puzzled look, she asked if Mia had somehow forgotten. The goth girl was shocked, while Hyun kept saying that she had learned that recipe from her several years ago. Our dear Mia gave an awkward laugh and said that maybe it tasted different because she had a bit of a cold. And maybe Hyun had added some different ingredient, making the flavor a bit unusual. She even tasted it again, saying that it was actually much better than the soup she knew how to make. Then she asked Hyun if she was sure she hadn't added any special ingredient. Hyun gave an awkward laugh and said that actually she hadn't made it. Taesu had. At that moment, our hero opened the door. He greeted his friends. Hyun looked at him and asked if he had just arrived and mentioned that he had taken a long time. Wait a second, where's Mia? Did she leave? The redhead said yes, that she had just gone out. She had even thanked them for everything they'd done, and our protagonist was confused. Since Hyun's dorm had a curfew, she said she needed to leave quickly. Hey Hyun, wait a minute. He asked her how it went and if she had managed to see the scar. He was very curious but also afraid of the answer. Embarrassed, Hyun said she'd only tell him next Sunday. He had to buy her lunch, otherwise she wouldn't say a thing. That would be a fair price since he had used her to check that. He gave an awkward laugh and said that was fine. Next Sunday they would go out together. Then she would be able to tell him whether that was the real Mia or not. He even apologized, but Hyun said he could use her as much as he wanted. The guy got embarrassed while she said that no matter what happened, she would always be there to help him, and in a cute way she repeated that she would always be by his side. Laughing, she made a joke, asking why he was looking at her like that and if maybe he had fallen in love with her. She even joked again, saying that he would probably confess to her and reminded him of a deal they had made. If he ever fell in love with her, he should confess. Then the redhead said goodbye, and I admit she's really charming, guys. I'm already starting to root for her too, even though it's very unlikely they'll end up together. While washing the dishes, he kept saying that Hyun was a good person. She was always cheerful and radiant. He remembered a moment when he had met her during winter. His cheeks turned red since he had realized that Hyun had become a very beautiful woman. And remembering that day, he thought she was too good for him. She deserved someone much better. She was such a kind girl that she deserved someone on her level. Mia's clothes were hanging on his bathroom door, and our hero, back in his apartment, said that next Sunday he'd have to buy Hyun lunch. Meanwhile, Mia was taking a shower. He knew that just from Hyun making that joke, it was already obvious that this Mia was the real one, and we could see that because of the scar, guys. Basically, Hyun had given everything away. That one was indeed the real Mia, Taesu's ex-girlfriend. The scene shifted to the next early morning. Our hero opened his apartment door and ran right into Mia, and she seemed a bit unwell. They both got startled when they saw each other, and with a smile, the guy asked if she was okay. It seemed like she hadn't expected a meeting like that. Adjusting her mask, she said she was so-so and thanked him for everything he'd done the day before. In the infirmary, she ended up telling the doctor that she had insomnia, and it had gotten much worse recently. She couldn't sleep at all. She even wanted some sleeping pills, but since that was the school health center, they couldn't prescribe that kind of medication. The woman even asked Mia if anything stressful had happened recently, since she could see the dark circles under her eyes. Then Mia just gave an excuse, saying it was because of exams. But the scene cut to Taesu, and the girl was thinking about her ex-boyfriend. That was the reason for her insomnia. During the exams, she kept telling herself that her anxiety was because of the tests, and not because of her ex-boyfriend. But we know that's a total lie, guys. If she hadn't run into him again, she wouldn't be dealing with any of this. She wondered if maybe, had she ignored him from the very first time they met again, things might have been better for her. Well, actually, she knew that wasn't true. She had only made his life worse. The poor girl kept blaming herself all the time, saying she had ruined Taesu's life. The scene moved to the outside of Seo University in Korea. She thought he would hate her if she ever told him the reason she had left him, but it seemed that he didn't hate her, and he didn't even know what had happened. She had basically sold their relationship in exchange for money to save her mother's life, and it seemed that Taesu's mother had never told him anything. Then the girl remembered him saying he had cut ties with his family. So she wanted to know why Taesu had run away from home, and little did she know, he was right behind her. She heard the guy's voice calling her name, and she immediately got all flustered, asking why the hell he was following her. "What are you talking about? I'm not following you, I'm just walking through the hallway." "Well, actually, I was following you, I was worried about you." Hearing those words from our guy made her completely melt inside. Then she turned around, worried, asking if he had heard what she had just said out loud. She had accidentally spoken those thoughts, so she tried to cover it up, saying she was talking about the rumors that they were dating. But our guy said he didn't care about that kind of rumor. Either way, those gossiping people had already decided what to believe. So it didn't matter if they kept denying the rumors. In fact, he never cared about that kind of gossip. And the girl was surprised by his attitude. And that was strange because it seemed like he didn't want people to think they were dating under any circumstance. After all, when Sunbae showed up at his apartment hallway, he had gotten all worried and rushed to explain the misunderstanding. But our guy ignored what she said and said goodbye, saying he didn't care about rumors anymore. And poor Mia, guys, she was super worried, thinking that he was way too good for her. Then she finally admitted that the reason for her insomnia was Han Tae-soo. The true reason she'd been losing sleep, her first and last boyfriend. The scene went to her apartment. She was saying that there were only 2 years left. 2 years left until Tae-soo graduates, and then he'll disappear from her life. The girl lay down on her bed, deeply worried about it, and said that she was really tired. She couldn't stop remembering him saying goodbye to her. And taking a deep breath, the girl said it was awful that he had shown up in her life again, because now he was messing with her head. She had hoped he was living a peaceful life abroad, just as his family wanted. But just by looking at his face, it seemed like he was living a life full of regret, and she kept wondering if the reason for his sadness was her fault. The girl had promised herself that she would be much stronger, and she said that while looking at the medical prescription, every time she saw Tae-soo, she remembered things from the past. That's why she swore she'd never see him again. And that was the reason she had said back at the police station that they should pretend neither of them existed. She wanted to cut ties permanently so she wouldn't ruin his life too, just as she had ruined her mother's and father's. As she remembered her sick mother in the hospital, she kept saying that she had made many promises in her life and hadn't been able to keep a single one. Maybe that's what people call regret. That's what the person on the other end of the line was saying. She was talking to someone on the phone, guys, and this person said that maybe she still loved Tae-soo. This person also said that she could see that Tae-soo was a good person, and that there was no reason for Mia to think he would hate her. And the person on the other end of the line kept saying that Mia still loved that boy, and that's why she was always finding excuses to be near him. She kept denying it, but as she remembered the moments she had with him over the past few months, the girl realized it was true, everyone, and just hearing Tae-soo's name made her cheeks turn red. However, she tensed up and told the person on the phone that it wasn't true. She wasn't in love with Tae-soo, but her friend on the phone said that what she actually felt was fear. She was afraid to tell Tae-soo that she had sold their relationship in exchange for money. In reality, she was terrified that Tae-soo would find out and hate her from the bottom of his heart. We could see that the person talking to her was a woman sitting in a law office, and she asked Mia if she thought it was right to keep Tae-soo in the dark. She told her she needed to understand her own feelings and figure out whether she didn't want to tell the truth because she was afraid of hurting him or afraid of him hating her. Hearing those words made Mia start sweating cold. The lawyer was scolding her, so she asked her friend to stop talking. The woman asked why she hadn't been writing in her diary lately, and besides that, she had forgotten to take her medication. But Mia said it was because she'd had a fever yesterday and forgot to take it today. However, she told her friend not to worry, that she would start writing in her diary again and take her medicine properly. The woman said she knew it was a bad idea for Mia to live alone there and said she was already getting ready to travel to see her immediately. The woman's name was Seo Jean, and Mia kept saying she didn't need to come. But the woman ended up hanging up the phone, and Mia heard someone knocking on the door. The person there was none other than our hero. He asked if she had finished her call, and the girl froze, afraid that he had heard everything. Yeah guys, could our protagonist have heard it? Meanwhile, he was asking if she was okay, but she yelled from the other side of the door, asking what the hell he was doing there. She leaned against the door and asked if he had been eavesdropping on her conversation. A bit embarrassed, he said that actually he had made some egg porridge and brought a bit for her so she could eat and recover, since he was very worried. He also mentioned that Hyun had said she really liked his soup, and Mia got all flustered. Thanking him, she said he could take the food back because she didn't want to eat. Smiling, he said that Mia didn't need to worry. He had just made too much food and brought her some, but she shouted loudly that she was fine and didn't need his concern. Hearing her shouting, he got startled, but then she began to cry, saying she regretted yelling at him and apologizing. Separated by a door, she asked if he still had feelings for her. The girl understood that he was being kind because he was always kind to people, but she wanted to know whether he still liked her or not. If anyone saw them together, they might think they were dating, so it didn't make sense for him to keep being so nice to her. And the girl asked if he held any grudges. Our hero didn't say anything, and she went on, saying that she had simply vanished from his life. When she came back, she started treating him badly. The only thing he said was that he didn't hate her. That hit her right in the heart, and she started yelling, saying that he was a liar, and asking why he didn't hate her. In a very serious tone, he said he had felt relieved when he saw that she was alive and safe. From the moment he saw her at the police station, he had felt relieved. He even admitted that it seemed like she wasn't the same person anymore. But still, it was really good to see that his former girlfriend, the one he had loved so much, was safe. When she heard those words, she covered her mouth to keep herself from crying. Taeso went on saying that he knew very well she no longer had any interest in him, and that the things she had gone through had been very hard. But if the reason she wanted to keep such a distance from him was because she thought he hated her, she could rest assured he didn't have those kinds of feelings toward her. He even admitted he might seem too curious, so she should just think of him as a childhood friend who was very worried. Leaving the pot of food on the floor, he told her he'd leave it there for her and that she should eat a little and save the rest. Then he said goodbye, telling her to rest and recover her health. She kept remembering her lawyer friend's words that she still loved Taeso. She clutched her stomach because she felt butterflies, and at the same time her eyes wouldn't stop tearing up. Then she realized this was what people called regret. The scene shifted to 4 years ago. Taeso had just left home and was standing in front of an office that was hiring. The guy looked really down, completely hopeless, until someone appeared. Sunbae showed up holding an umbrella, asking what he was doing there. She introduced herself and said she had seen him sitting there alone since the night before. The guy said he had lost his wallet, so he came early to that place to try to get some kind of manual labor job. But there was a sign in the back saying the office had moved to a new address. That's why no one had shown up to see him. When she explained that to him, he got a bit upset and said he really wanted a job. After that, he stood up and apologized for bothering her, but the girl called out to him. Then she asked if he didn't have anywhere to go, and if he didn't have a place to stay, he could spend a few days at the apartment she was renting. The guy was surprised, and she assured him that her other roommates were really nice. It was at that moment that he ended up falling in love again. The scene returned to the present. Our guy had just received the food pot back, now completely clean, and there was even a thank you note. He saw that she had eaten everything and gave a satisfied smile. 4 days had passed since she had fainted in the elevator. He had been watching her from afar as she went to school, not wanting to make her uncomfortable. But what he couldn't stop thinking about was the question she had asked, whether he still had feelings for her. The guy had also spent many days that month thinking about that. When Hyun found out that Mia was back, the goth girl said it had been 5 years since she and Taesu had broken up, so it made no sense for her to still have feelings for him. And remembering the old Mia, he really wanted to know what had happened for her to change so drastically. But when he thought too much about Mia, his heart started racing, and when he thought about Sunbae, he kept telling himself that she was the one he should like. That blonde girl really made his heart beat so fast it almost jumped out of his chest. He even remembered that if he hadn't met Sunbae, he wouldn't even be alive. At that moment, his friend appeared, asking why his face was so red. She wanted to know if he had caught a cold too. Hyben noticed that this was her chance to flirt with him, and even thought about using what she had learned from dating sims to ask Taesu out. In a cute way, Hyben said that if he was sick, she would take care of him with lots of affection. But our guy simply disappeared, and she started yelling for Taesu, asking why he was ignoring her. But then we saw that someone had grabbed his hand. The guy looked up to see who it was, and it was none other than Sunbae. She asked if a little help might come in handy at a moment like that. Smiling, she mentioned that it looked like he was in trouble. That's why she came to help. The fool got all nervous, and smiling, she asked if she was wrong about that. Hey Sunbae, it looks like you know me well, huh? Every time you manage to figure out exactly what situation I'm in. She said it was because it was easy to read his emotions just by looking at his face. And laughing, she said it was like he was an open book. The guy stopped in his tracks, and she said she would keep that secret for him. He didn't quite understand what she meant, but it was clear it was some kind of flirtation or even a love confession. The scene shifted to a building. Our guy was staring at his reflection in the mirror. He wanted to know if he was really that easy to read, if people could really tell what he was feeling just by looking at his face. At that moment, he saw Mia's reflection passing by in the mirror and decided to ask her that question. The girl was saying that he was a narcissist for staring at himself in the mirror, and he turned around, startling her. He decided to drag the girl to a hallway near the bathrooms, and she thought that was very suspicious. "Hey Taisu, why did you drag me here? You're not planning to do anything indecent with me, right? You're not, are you?" He said it wasn't like that at all, and that he wanted to ask her something because she was his ex-girlfriend. And upon hearing that, the girl got super embarrassed. "Well, since you're my ex-girlfriend, you know me very well. I want to ask you a question." And just look at her face. She was already thinking it was something bold, right? What he wanted to know was if his facial expressions were super obvious. Even if other people couldn't read his expressions, maybe Mia could. Since they had dated in the past, the guy wanted to know if he had any strange habits or mannerisms, like for example, squinting his eyes when he got nervous. The girl realized it was nothing serious. She had thought it was something silly, and when she noticed there was nothing wrong, she said that it didn't matter. "Well, anyway, it's fine. Have a good exam." He simply said goodbye, and she stood there not understanding anything. Poor thing. Then she wondered why her hand was raised and quickly lowered her arm. He started walking across the university campus. Someone in a car stopped and called out to him. It was Sumbe, and she asked if he still had class at that hour. He said he had been taking exams, which was why he stayed later. She offered him a ride, but he refused, saying it was only a 20-minute walk to his apartment since he was afraid of riding with her. However, she insisted, so he got in and immediately pulled down his safety helmet. But she said she would drive carefully. During the ride, she kept humming, and he thought it was a bit strange. He even asked her if something had happened since she seemed different. Taking a deep breath, she said she was fine and that he was the one who seemed different. Normally, he skipped every event, but now he was even attending club activities. She remembered when she first met him. He used to look all gloomy, but now he was cheerful and bright. He even laughed, saying that she had been the weird one back then for letting a total stranger into her apartment. Laughing, she said that just by looking at him, she could tell he was a good person. Then the scene went back to the day she welcomed him into her apartment. The guy said the place was really big and spacious, and she said yes because she lived with other roommates. But he was feeling a bit bad. It seemed like he was just taking advantage of her kindness, and when he was about to leave, she asked him to wait a moment. Joking, she asked if he was scared, and he also joked, saying yes, maybe there were kidnappers on the other side of the door. They both laughed, and she said that the apartment felt kind of lifeless, and that when she first moved in, she also got chills down her spine. But it was the first time she had ever brought a guy there since all her roommates were women. Then he said goodbye, saying he also had an apartment and didn't need her help, and even said his apartment was exactly the same as hers, and the girl thought that was really strange. But she laughed because she realized he had come there just to see where she lived. After that, she welcomed him with great kindness. If it weren't for her, he wouldn't have passed the college entrance exam or even gotten the internship in that department. That's why he felt a deep admiration whenever he remembered Sonbai. At that moment, she got closer, making him nervous, and asked what the hell he was hiding from her. Suddenly, he had become more active in the department, and maybe it was because he had romantic feelings for someone. The guy started sweating nervously and asked why she thought that. And with a teasing smile, she guessed that maybe it was Mia, the girl he was in love with. She thought that because the two of them were always together, but he insisted that wasn't true, he didn't like her. Then he explained to Sonbai that they were high school classmates, but he didn't mention that they were exes. He said they had fought back in high school, which was why their relationship was a little weird, almost like enemies. Sonbai seemed relieved to hear that he didn't like Mia. And the guy noticed that she looked relieved, and even wondered if maybe Sonbai liked him. Wait a second, was she really relieved? "Hey Sonbai, the light's green, you can go." That day he realized that Sonbai really was acting a bit different from usual. As for the reason behind it, he wasn't sure, but the scene showed Sonbai feeling a bit down, saying that she really hated that situation. The scene then cut to another day when they were at a shopping mall. Both Mia and Sonbai were helping him choose an outfit, and they showed the guy a women's outfit. Sonbai said that one didn't suit him much, but this other women's outfit did. And holding up the two women's outfits for him, they asked which one he should choose. Mia said that he should choose the one that caught his attention the most, and Sonbai said that he should choose the one he found most attractive, and he just stood there, not knowing which outfit he should pick. Then he asked both of them if they really wanted him to dress as a woman, and they said yes, but to get to that day, we need to go back a bit in the story. The college events were about to begin in the coming weeks, and he was arriving at his department club when he noticed that the two girls were talking with another one about social service. That freshman was Jo, a 20-year-old newcomer, and she was explaining that this year's event would be very competitive. Our hero didn't understand why they hated the social service group so much. Then they started explaining to Tiso that every year during the event those two groups competed to see who would take first place. Our hero looked at Mia, and she wondered why he was staring at her. Then he asked what she had to say about this competition, and she got all awkward. Since that incident in the elevator, they had been seeing each other much less. It had already been about 2 weeks, and every time he ran into her, the girl ran away. At least she no longer stared at him or made weird gestures, if you know what I mean. The girls continued explaining that the Medicon group and the social service group were basically mortal enemies. Mia was shocked that Tissot didn't know about that and said those two groups fought all year long. Mia even said there was a saying, "If you see people from social service in the cafeteria, finish your coffee quickly and leave." He asked if that was a real saying, but she teased him, saying it was a joke and that she had just made it up. Still, he understood that this contest between the two groups was very intense and full of rivalry. He just didn't understand why the girls cared so much about such a silly competition. However, there would be a contest where the men would dress as women, and the judges would score who looked best. One of the girls suggested dressing him as a girl so they could win the contest. Mia said it would be really fun, and asked our protagonist if he would agree. He struck a cool pose and joked, saying it would be nice to dress as a woman, but then he refused, saying that his friend Jonja would be better since he already had long hair and looked a lot like a girl. But the girl said he was, well, too wild and didn't behave like a woman at all. He felt a bit offended, saying that he in fact could act just like a girl. But Mia said it wasn't about that. Actually, it was because Taisu had a very handsome face. Besides, if he accepted, the Medicon group would have a great chance of winning that contest. He thanked them and said he wouldn't do it. He insisted that there was no way he would take part in that joke and dress as a woman just to win a silly contest. But then, someone showed up. The one who appeared was Sumbai, asking what the hell they were talking about. Our boy immediately got all love-struck just from seeing her. When they said they were talking about the contest, Sumbai got irritated, saying that this year they absolutely had to win. That was because last year the other team had been very arrogant and even made fun of them. With a cute face, she said that this year they had to crush social service. Mia said that was quite a coincidence since she also wanted to crush them. Then the two held hands, saying that this year they would eliminate that club. Our hero got a little nervous at their invitation, and before he could say no, they ended up dragging him to the mall. And that's how we got to the fateful scene where they were choosing clothes for Taisu. Both girls were clinging to him, telling him to pick a very feminine outfit. Mia pointed her finger at a store, saying that's where they would get the outfit for our guy. So he went to the fitting room and realized that none of the clothes fit him. The guy was too big and he ended up tearing the skirt, and the shirt didn't even go on, making the two burst out laughing. Then he went to the cashier to pay for the clothes he had ruined. In the end, he didn't buy any clothes for himself and was only left carrying their shopping bags. The two wanted his help picking their contest outfits. He needed to leave early for work but agreed to stay a little longer with them. At that moment, Mia called for our hero. She wanted him to look at her outfit to see if it looked good on her. The guy got all shy, and after putting on the glasses, she asked if she looked more youthful since she was dressing as a high school student. She even put on another pair of glasses, asking him if she looked pretty. The guy noticed she looked a lot like the Mia from high school, and his heart started beating faster. He even joked, saying that now she really looked like someone her age, and she got mad, asking if he was implying she looked older. At that moment, she placed the glasses on her shirt and started seducing our protagonist. She even asked if by any chance he was paying attention to her, but right then Sumbai interrupted and asked if she also looked like a young high school girl. And the guy, completely love-struck, even started tearing up. Just look at Mia's face, she was super jealous, guys. She said she chose the part of the contest where she'd dress as a high school student, since everyone kept saying she was really cute. Hearing that, our hero ran off, saying that she really looked 5 years younger. And of course, Mia was dying of jealousy after hearing all that. At that moment, she called out to the protagonist, and wearing an even more delicate outfit, asked if he liked that one. Even Sumbai was charmed, saying that Mia was really beautiful. But our guy noticed that another competition was about to start between the girls to see who could impress him the most. And that's how we wrap up part 2 of this story. Guys, if you've made it this far, comment Mia's comeback. The more likes and comments you leave, the more YouTube recommends our video to others. Consider becoming a member of the channel. You get early access to videos and also exclusive content just for members. It's super cheap, guys, and it really helps the channel a lot. I'll leave 2 videos here that I'm sure you're going to like. So, see you next time. That's it for now. Thanks, and see you later, everyone.